Hello, everybody, and welcome to the newest episode of the Theater Enthusiast podcast. As always, I have my hot priest candle lit. I'm drinking out of my hot priest mug that says Neil on the back. And our guest today, I'm very excited because we worked together almost 2 years ago. And when we talked about it, we were kind of like, ooh. Anyway, please welcome Nick Rehberger. Can you hear that?
I can hear that. I've never been introduced with vomiting before, so that's fun.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You know what? It won't be the last time. Just
that's
imagine.
What everyone says. Yeah.
Nick Rehberger. Blah. Yeah. Well, I already showed him his mug, and for the two people out there listening, I joke. I say it's two people. It could be more. We're holding up our Fiddler mugs. Fiddler on the roof. L'chaim. Can I just say the amount of people who ask me what does l'chaim mean?
Really?
And it wasn't even l'chaim. I'm Jewish, so I have the chach.
Yeah.
They would say l'chaim. Like, what does l'chaim mean? And I say, watch the show, you'll find out.
Wow. In almost 2 years of being in that show, I never had anybody say that to me.
I also had a lot of I saw Zero Mostel do this. And it's like, now you're going to go see Danny Burstein do it.
People said that to Danny at the stage door, and Danny, gracious, kind man that he is, would be like, yes, wonderful.
By the way, if you have a hookup for Danny Burstein coming onto my podcast, I will be indebted. No, seriously, because he's one of my favorite people. My top going theater experiences, one of them is him and Beth Level in Drowsy.
Oh.
And that is where my deep love for Danny Burstein has started. Right. And it has never withered. He's such a mensch. I want him to play my father in something or just in life. No offense to my dad or my stepdad.
Yeah. Right.
Whom I both love very much, but Danny Burstein, I just want as my father.
I know he is the community's father, and he's everything you'd want him to be at all moments of time.
I mean, I've met him at stage doors before, but yeah. And I think I would just stare at him the whole time, I am talking to Danny Burstein. Anyway, so
would that to you? You'd be
to me, sure, just that look of admiration. Anyway, but I did tell Nick that I had been waiting a very, very long time to have somebody come onto my podcast so I can use that Fiddler mug. I think I have, maybe I got rid of the shirt, but I think I have the sweatshirt somewhere still.
I do too.
Yeah, and I bought the mug because I thought the artwork was really beautiful with the gold swishes.
I did too. Yeah.
Yeah. And NBD, but because I did merch there, I did get a cast and crew discount, which you did too, I'm sure, unless they gave it to you for free.
We did get a few things for free, but
and let me tell you, those scarves were great.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but it's somewhere in storage.
Yeah. I have a Rent scarf from when I was in 8th grade, hidden somewhere in my apartment.
Rent. Oh.
You know that musical?
I thought you said Red, and I was like, cool.
That too. Yeah, the play. They just sold scarves. It had nothing to do with the show. They sold scarves. Anyway, Nick, hi. How are you?
Oh, you know what? I'm really good, actually. I'm really good.
You just came back from playing Robert, the bridegroom, who is here to marry Janet.
Yes, here to marry Janet.
Something's leading. Oh, speaking of Drowsy Chaperone, connections. Anyway,
one of the best shows of all time. So funny.
You I sometimes forget how brilliant that show actually is. And then I listen to the cast recording and it's just this is the most brilliant show in the history of the world.
It's also a little over 90 minutes. Everybody has their one main thing to do. Mm-hmm. I could do that show for 5 years.
Did you have to learn how to roller skate for that?
Learn is a generous term. I had to be able to roller skate around the stage. Yes.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, great. Imagine.
I had roller skated and also ice skated in the past growing up in Michigan. So it wasn't horrible. Although I did say that with a lot of confidence. I was like, oh, I used to ice skate. I can roller skate. And then the first day I put the skates on in rehearsal, I just fell all over the place. And they were like, oh, interesting. But by the end of it, I mean, the whole goal of that song is to look like you're blindfolded and that you don't know where you're going.
Yeah.
So there was a point at which I was skating too well and they had to tell me to skate less well. So
remember the first day of rehearsal where you were not great? Go back to that. Yeah.
Go back to that?
No, I was making a joke of what they probably were saying to you in the room.
I was like, for my confidence, yes, that's where it is normally.
Yeah.
No, yes,
We're
go
not, I'm
back.
not directing you right now. It's fine. That was almost
So
years ago.
eager, so eager for the note. Did you see that?
Oh, no. What is that from? What is going on with my hair? Sorry. I'm a
Um,
girl. I'm looking at my hair.
that's why I just cut all my hair off.
I'm letting it grow. So
Yeah,
I have like the pandemic length hair and I'm like, this looks good. So I'm keeping it.
yeah, yeah. Well, I had that. I had the long hair during Fiddler, so I went through that phase.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah.
I remember like everything about that show.
So
It
what
was
did
like
you
the
ask
last,
me?
like, I don't, you said something about a note and I said, what is
Oh,
that from?
roller skating, Drowsy Chaperone. I just did the Drowsy Chaperone in
Yes.
Franklin, Massachusetts, with the sweetest, best group of people in the world.
Mhm.
I got to tap dance, which I haven't done since I was a kid. Well, since I
But
was in college.
I asked this of everyone, and I'm sure because you said you listened to the Cobra podcast.
Did.
Can you do a time step?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Will
And
you?
actually, I have overconfidence that I can teach you how to do a time step. Even though you
Wait,
said a bunch of
wait,
times in that
wait,
podcast that you can't,
I
I still
can't,
have
I like
confidence.
physically, so God, oh my God, oh, probably almost 9 years ago. God, age. I worked at a dance studio on the Upper West Side, and I even had like 5-year-olds try to teach me a time step. And my
Hmm.
body just like can't physically do one. I'll tell you, if you can actually teach me a time step, I will buy you a drink.
Okay, we're gonna
Yeah.
put that to the test.
Okay.
But yeah, so I tap was the first thing I ever did. Honestly, I started tapping when I was 5,
Mhm.
and I've never been a good dancer, and I'm not to this day, but I can make pretty good tap sounds. So it's
By the
just a matter
way, 8th
of,
Avenue, you're welcome. The
I
sound
know.
of sirens.
Yeah, they're tearing up all the tiles in my lobby, so we're in good company there.
You know what? You know what I say? New York.
New York,
New
it's
York.
part of the experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I tapped since I was a little kid, and I kind of stopped on and off, and I was in beginner dance of everything else except advanced tap in college. So
Well,
tap is
hold
the
on. I
one.
feel like we're like jumping to what I usually ask. We're just
Yeah,
like,
I'm here for the order of operations. Go
it's
on.
okay. I do have a weird order, but it goes out of order. And then anyway, so you're from Michigan. So I usually start with like, where are you from? And then, Michigan, where? I'm holding up my hand like the mitten.
I'm from Michigan. I'm right in the middle of the
Okay.
bottom of the mitten, East
Okay.
Land.
I only know this from Rock of Ages. Oh, you
It's
froze. Is it me? Is it my internet?
it's the capital.
Sorry, you
You're
froze. So I'm
frozen
like,
for me.
is it my internet that you froze?
Are we back? You're back
Yeah,
for
we're
me.
here. We're alive. We're good.
Yeah, so Lansing is the capital of Michigan, but it's not much of a capital. It's but it was a great place to grow up, very like Midwest and safe and easy.
Is it weird
And
that when you said capital, I just thought of the Hunger Games?
oh wow,
Yeah,
yeah, that's not where my mind went, but that's good.
that's where mine went. And then I just remembered like seeing one of the movies with my friends. I don't know if you've ever been to the AMC Lincoln Center.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, so you know how like each theater was or is at one point. No, it still is, but they just numbered it. They have like different, oh, you're in the Capitol room, you're in the King.
yeah, yeah.
So she and I went to see one of the Hunger Game movies in the Capitol Theater. So the irony was just not lost on us. Anyway,
Right.
sorry. So safe Midwest.
Yeah, very great. Luckily,
Mhm.
went to a public high school, like a football high school that happened to have a very great theater program. There are like
You're one of those people who like played football and then like injured themselves and took theater.
absolutely not. No, no. I was a band kid. I was a kid who tapped when he was little. So
Mhm.
yeah, no, no. But yeah, so let's see, where do I start with that?
So let's
The
talk about what made you
help me.
want to go into dance or at least tapping.
That's so funny that we're talking about dance as though it's something I do. Um, I really
Well,
don't.
because the time step
I do
thing was
know.
brought up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I do know. It's because that was like the kind of stuff that I loved when I was a little kid. My favorite movie, I think still to this day, is Singing in the Rain. I
Mhm.
wanted to be Gene Kelly. And I loved every night when I was little, I'd watch the Lawrence Welk show with my parents. Did you ever watch that? old Dutch guy with and he had all these, like, I think he's Dutch. He had like people do ballroom dancing and play instruments, and he was also a band leader.
Mhm.
I don't know. So that kind of like old style of performance was what I grew up loving, and I wanted to learn how to tap. I never like became a good dancer, but that was kind of my way in, I think, at the beginning. And then I started playing the French horn in middle school, and that was what I wanted to do. I wanted to be in an orchestra, and all my friends were in choir, and I didn't sing, and I didn't think I could sing,
Mhm.
but I wanted to be with all my friends, so I joined choir and I mouthed the words in the back, and I didn't actually do it. I just liked to be there with my friends. And then kind of, after that, all of them were doing the musicals, and I did the same thing. Auditioned for one, I sang Happy Birthday, and they let me in because there weren't enough guys. And
Welcome to
I
High School Musical Theater.
exactly, and I mouthed the words in that first one, and then I realized that it
What
was
was the
actually
first musical you were in?
it was it was a musical written for middle schoolers called Crazy Camp with 2 Ks. Um, and then I realized that I really liked it, and so I started taking voice lessons, and I realized that I actually could sing. And because I had, like, so much music and dance training, again, I'm saying dance with a generous heap of something.
Loosely, yeah.
Right. That it ended up being something that I really loved. And I think Cobra said a similar thing where, like, the first time I realized it was something people could do was when I went to I didn't do pre-college at Carnegie Mellon. I did the pre-college at U of M, which was called Impulse.
Mhm.
And it was, they kind of taught you that you can audition for colleges for this and stuff like that. And that was where I realized that I could do it as a career.
And so throughout high school, did you do the musicals and everything as well?
I did the musicals, I did the plays, I did marching band and concert band, and yeah.
You sound like somebody I went to high school with. Did you do the musicals? I think so. Anyway, so you went to University of Michigan, correct?
Not, I did not.
Oh,
I went
wait, I'm wrong.
their summer program, and then I went to Carnegie Mellon, same
I
as
think I
Andrew.
got confused because you're from Michigan and
Yeah,
so many Broadway performers have come
yeah,
from Michigan University or
yeah.
University of Michigan.
And I really
I
wanted to go there because that
yeah.
was my like, North Star. It was like people who go into this career go to U of M because that was all I knew.
Mhm.
And I'm so happy I got into Carnegie Mellon, not because, I mean, U of M is an incredible school, but I just think it was a good fit for me.
Mhm.
And it got me away from Michigan for a little bit, and gave me some, perspective, and a little bit away from my family and everything. And I think that was healthy for
Did
me.
you audition for University of Michigan? Like, what schools did you audition for, and what made you
Oh, boy.
ultimately decide on Carnegie Mellon?
I auditioned for like 7 schools.
Mhm.
Um,
If you can't remember all of them, it's fine because you don't have to.
Carnegie Mellon, University of Michigan, Penn State, Syracuse, Ithaca. I think maybe one other that I can't remember right now off the top of my head. But and not to sound whatever, but I got into all of them except for University of Michigan, which was crushing to me at the time, but in retrospect was actually like kind of incredible.
Mhm.
And ended up, I think, like kind of leading me on the right path for me. It was, it was a different time, and it was definitely easier for boys to get into college programs.
Yeah. I'm
you
just
know
like
there was
looking
a
back
lot.
of like my years in college. I wasn't in musical theater, although I auditioned for it. And I was just trying to be like, wait, what males were in the programs? Like what men? That's where my mind is going.
Yeah,
It's been so long.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there were an equal amount for us, but I do think there was probably less competition to be a guy in a musical theater program than there was a woman. I don't know that that's true anymore,
I don't know.
um,
I'm
because
so far away removed from the
yeah,
college stuff because I
yeah.
told you my age earlier. But yeah.
25.
Yes. Plus
We're good at going on tangents.
I
What
told
was
you it happens.
what was the question? Oh,
We were talking about
yes,
colleges.
I wanted
So
to
what
go to U of
we
M. I
Mhm.
didn't get in. I got in academically because I was a goody two shoes good student. And I was very lucky that my parents were okay with me going out of state. I got a scholarship, but it was still more than that would have been, and they were really supportive of that, which was great. Um, Yeah, and I loved going to Carnegie Mellon. I loved it there.
So wait, you didn't get into the,
Musical theater program.
okay, so
Right.
then did
Oh, I
you,
did it.
you did or didn't?
I did at Carnegie Mellon.
Oh, okay. So wait, what were you saying that you didn't get into a program?
U of M. Oh, you just asked me if I went
Oh,
to U of M, and I didn't get in there for musical theater.
yeah. Anyway, but you got in for like academically though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, great. Anyway, Carnegie Mellon, how was
That's
that for you?
great. It was a really good program. It was very challenging, especially as a kid who had only done high school theater and didn't have, any sort. I didn't go to a performing arts school or anything like that. So it was, I mean, the process there, and I think it's changed a bit, but the process there at the time was definitely like tear you down to build you back up.
Mhm.
And for me, that was great. I was a pretty like sheltered kid, and I just loved acting and singing, and I think it gave me like a technique, and it gave me skills and tools and knowledge, and certainly friends. I mean, the alumni outreach of that school is really amazing, and the showcase the way that they kind of get you into the city is really amazing. So yeah, I think it was pretty lucky for me to get in there.
Yeah, because you booked Glass Menagerie, like that was in English, Glass Menagerie, like right out of college.
Yeah, right out of college.
Let's talk about that experience. And if
Yeah.
you're gonna ever be in Harry Potter, because you know John Tiffany.
Oh, that's my dream. That's my dream. I haven't I think right now I'm too old to play the kids, and I'm too young to play the adults.
Mhm.
No, again, if anyone would let me in there, which I
In
doubt.
the ensemble, it's fine. Just shave.
Oh,
And like, I don't know if you're gonna grow if you look younger with longer hair. I don't know.
yeah, no, I'm going for older. I think that's where I'm heading now.
No.
Um, what was what was the question? Oh, is John Tiffany going to put me in Harry Potter? Remains to be seen. But going off of that, it was pretty funny. I had great teachers in college, but I was definitely, and Andrew said a similar thing. I was always the guy who played the older men, the
Mhm.
character parts. And so even in college, they were like, you're a good actor, but be prepared to not be an actor for a while, because you'll probably have your career start, in 10, 20 years. And I was like, okay, I love doing this, so I'll take
Yeah, I had
it.
that too. I remember I did Trojan Women in college,
Oh
and
yeah.
I pretty much just got in because I was a girl. And I was in pre-show, they had assault scenes, and I was in one of them. And the costume designer, who was like the costume person of the program, they were trying to figure out like who to make olds, and they were like, "Oh, do you want to play an old person?" And I was like, "I get assaulted in the show, and this is probably the only time I'm not going to be playing an old person in my pace career, so no."
Oof.
Cut
Oof.
to my junior year, I get cast as like an older, I mean, very much me, like a 60 Long Island accent Jewish woman. So my essence minus the 60-year-oldness. And ever since, I was people like one of the people in the department just like saw me as an older person. And then
Yeah.
luckily, like this person I was friends with at the time cast me in Dog Sees God. And I kind of did like a fuck you to that guy because like I can play somebody who's not old. So
Right.
yeah, but I
Well, I
get it.
guess like honestly, that was what I loved to do. Like I didn't have any desire to be like the hot young guy in a musical or something.
Mhm.
So but then all that to say, when I got that show a month out of school, it was kind of like, oh, okay, well, there is like a place for me now at this age. And again, that was just really, really lucky. And I understudied two 35-year-old guys as a
Mhm.
22-year-old.
I
Um,
just want just for like my own personal like wanting to know every detail about that audition process and how I
yeah,
got cast. Please
yeah.
enlighten me. Like, how did the audition come about? Like, did
I
you
mean,
what
so
happened?
again, really lucky that I got an agent out of that showcase, out of Carnegie Mellon Showcase. and that was one of the first auditions I had. I was staying at my friend's house in upstate New York because I hadn't moved to New York yet.
Mhm.
And I would just like walk around on the streets and like say the lines over and over and over again. And I went in for that audition, and you know, it went really well. And then I got a call back, and I just remember like I mean, to this day, it was one of the best auditions I've ever done. Not because I was so great or something, but just because I felt like I really knew the material. I made strong choices. I had a lot of fun. I remember like tearing up the script and throwing it across the room and stuff that I just like didn't think that I would do anything like that. And it was really fun. And John was in the room, and that whole show was just kind of magical. I mean,
Yeah, it
people
was a
said when
great production.
yeah, and when I was in it, they were like, get ready because it won't be like this all the time. Like all four of them were incredibly skilled actors and also just like nice people.
Mhm.
And everyone backstage was amazing. John is the kindest director. His only way of directing is to like support people.
Mhm.
I mean, from top to bottom, there was like not a bad moment involved in that. And also to be young and just to get to watch everybody and also
Mhm.
never go on, which was actually great, I think, because I just got to learn and not have like
Yeah.
the pressure of going on for, Spock, which I remember one day. I mean, that was hard for him, I think, because he's such an incredible actor. And then to have people just want him to sign, you know, posters for Star Trek afterwards is not like the best thing in the world. But I remember one night, do you remember the show opened with just him and like a spotlight on that little
Yeah.
thing? And one time the spotlight came on his face, and one person in the audience at the top of their voice went, Spock. And I
Oh,
just saw Zach's face go like, all right, here we go. But he was great about that even too. It's like,
yeah.
he was appreciative of what that afforded him, and that the fact that that's, people were coming to see that show partially because of who he was, and yet he did incredible work.
Mhm.
um you know.
So last January, I actually directed a virtual reading of Rabbit Hole,
Oh yeah.
and Celia was in it. Yeah, and she tried to help it because we were having a very difficult time trying to find a Howie. Um,
Mm.
and she offered to help, and she's like, "Oh, I can email Zachary Quinto," and we're like, "Pourquoi?" So he was unavailable, but we were just like, "Imagine." So
Oh, who did
yeah,
it? Didn't get to see that one.
Joanne M. Jackson, whom I've worked with before in a reading with Kober and Leslie Margarita.
Mm.
We did a reading of the understudy, which like to this day is like one of my favorite readings I've ever done. Cause just like
Wow.
the three of them together, and like also probably one of the best like Q&As I ever hosted. It was just like the four of them, like the three of them just going off and just like randomly just like kept going until I was like, we should probably just end this Q&A now. Bye.
Oh,
Yeah, but
speaking of
she's
her, I mean, so she was actually a teacher at MPulse, that summer camp that I did at U of M.
oh
So
wow.
I met her when I was, 16.
Did
And
she
then,
like vomit a little too? Like Nick Rehberger. Whoa.
yeah, actually, no. But kind of in the sense that that first day of rehearsal, and I'm sure she saw the
Mhm.
cast list or something and then maybe looked it up, but my impression was, or she acted very well, that she remembered me from camp. She was like, Nick Rehberger from Impulse, you're in this? And I was like, that's the sweetest thing in the world. And she's always, again, just
She
another
is,
person who's,
she's lovely.
yeah,
Like,
I mean, yeah, we all of the boys had a huge crush on her during summer camp, and that remains to this day as just like as just
I
an
mean,
abiding
as
talent,
yeah.
crush, lovely
And now
person.
she's like kicking ass on the Gilded Age, like every
Absolutely.
like 90% of Broadway.
Yeah, which is so great. I've only seen a couple episodes so far, but I love it.
It's funny because I have because I watched the 11, it turned out to be like 11-hour marathon that Stars in the House did. And they were, so, do you know Stars in the House with Seth Rudetsky and his husband James?
I don't. Oh, geez. I'm a
Wow,
bad
you're
theater.
a bad theater person. So during the pandemic, they did this thing, Stars in the House, every night to raise money for the Actors Fund, and they've raised over $1 million for them. So they did like an 11-hour marathon. It was originally supposed to be 10, but it ended up being 11. And they had like all these different like Broadway people and celebrities come on and different people perform. And they did like, they had people from the Gilded Age on, and Seth was like, and no Jews. Okay. And I thought that was really funny because I have a friend of mine who she and I were talking about the Gilded Age, and she's very adamant about wanting to play like a particular Jewish character on that show because she likes the show so much. She started to do research, and she was saying that there was a woman at the time who was Jewish and started some sort of paper or something. So I just thought it was funny that he said that because I was having this conversation with my friend about it.
Wow. Yeah, that would be interesting.
And that photo behind you does remind me of the Gilded Age a little bit.
Totally.
Yeah, that one right there. What is that of?
It's of the Hippodrome in
There you go.
Chicago, right? I don't know. It doesn't. I just thought it looked cool, to be honest.
That's not, how much should I have hanging up in my apartment that I think looks cool? So I'm like, that's cool. Hang it up. It's like my random canvas above my bed.
Ooh, I like it.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, it's my apartment. Hey, check my like stack of DVDs I don't watch.
Do people watch this as well as listen to it?
No, I don't post video.
Okay. So this, sorry, everyone.
Sorry. I will say I had somebody come on and they were showing me different things in their kitchen. I thought it was fascinating. I'm like, this is great. And then I listened back to the podcast. I'm like, nobody knows what this guy is showing me, but I enjoyed it.
Okay. So where were we again?
So we were talking about Glass Menagerie.
Talking about Glass Menagerie.
Okay.
Yeah. Just
so once Glass Menagerie is done, then what?
Then back to life as a young actor in New York, trying to do it. I did Gotham on Fox. Got an episode of that. I started to get
and then you were murdered.
Was murdered, yeah.
Murdered by the Penguin.
By the Penguin. I got to introduce the Penguin as a frat boy, which led to me. I've seen
clips and things of you, and because again, I've done my research, so I've seen the things.
Yeah.
You were murdered in a car.
Yep, which led to me being seen as a frat boy for all my TV auditions for a while. Just lots of different things and auditions, and mostly kind of TV stuff happened in that period.
Did you have to do any survival type jobs?
Yeah, I've been pretty lucky overall, but I've done a little bit of everything. Like all through college, I was a secretary for a research company, and I worked. I just want
to say that's the most random thing I've heard. They're like, "Yeah, I was the secretary for a research company." Like out of all of the survival jobs I've heard about, that's kind of.
I know a lot.
But it was people who are secretaries, so it's not so bad.
Well, and I went home to Michigan, where I was at, Michigan State University campus. So that was why. I've done catering, which it's not fun. And I worked at Rehberger for 3 days before I got the call to do Glass Menagerie.
And we were like, guys, I had to quit. I'm gonna understudy for Spock.
Yeah, and they were like, they were not cool about it. They were like, "You're just gonna quit."
Did you tell them why?
Yeah, they didn't care.
Oh. With Rehberger, there's so much. I live by one, and I've never been inside of
it. I opened the one in Midtown, the one on 46th, when that was first. There.
I live by the 57th Street one. Never been inside. Walked by it. Still walk by it all the time.
Yeah,
we're inside.
Yeah, so I mean, I've done lots of little things. I've been like a PA on some film sets, and I've I
think that would be a fun job as somebody who's like never been on a film set, but that's just me.
I've never done it seriously. Like I've never done it for like an episodic TV show, which I think that's a tough job. You're in charge of a lot, and I think that is a skill that you, I think, as a director have that I don't necessarily have.
I'm just very talented at many things. It's fine.
Oh, right. That's exactly what I'm trying to say.
Thank you.
And I've submitted your resume to a lot of different PA positions, so you might be getting some phone calls.
Hey.
But yeah, and now I take photos, and I'm trying to get that off the ground a little bit. I've had a few people now pay me to take like lifestyle photos, headshot kind of things, which is really fun. And actually, I keep referring back to Andrew, who I don't know, and I keep calling him Cobra, and I've never met him. So
Yeah.
I
You're
just
not
am.
at that level yet. I'm
I'm not
sorry.
at that level,
Well,
but I'm
there's
a fan
so
of
we
it.
did this reunion type concert with the reading series. We did a concert at the Green Room 42,
Cool.
and he was in it. And it's funny because I worked with him on 4 readings because we did the Reasons to Be Pretty trilogy. So
Yeah.
we had the same cast for all 3 of those readings. So Cobra was in each one of them. And it's funny, somebody was talking to him, calling him Cobra. She's like, I'm so sorry, like I don't know you, but I'm calling you that. And then I said Andrew a few times. I'm like, I'm sorry, it's just like really weird to call you Andrew.
Yeah,
But
I don't know, but what was he was saying something about, oh, I don't remember what I was going to say now.
we're
Sorry.
just gonna keep referring. I'm sure, honestly, if like I told Cobra that we talked about him for a majority of this podcast, he would just love that. Be like, I would just text him and be like, Cobra, I just recorded a podcast and we talked about you for most of it. That's great.
Yeah, he seems like a lovely guy.
Wonderful. And just like, he's honestly, I just so happy to work with him and know him as a person. And like, I finally got to meet him in part. It's just, it was, can't say anything bad about him. He's wonderful.
Yeah, I do think that's the longer you're in this profession, the more kind of wonderful people you kind of amass, and the less
I've worked
wonderful.
with a lot of people during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's maybe just like one person, maybe 2, definitely 1, but he's not a Broadway actor, so it's fine.
who weren't nice, you mean?
No, it's just like that's an off podcast conversation.
Sure, of
Not to
course.
bash
Yeah.
anybody.
There's
No, I
always
mean,
someone, who's, but I guess the point is that majority of people are wonderful.
it's so funny because I always feel like this is kind of brought up in like every podcast where we talk about who was nice and who isn't. And I always
really?
mention this like one story that happened to me. And so it's funny because I had Tally Sessions on the last podcast and he's like, who is it? I'm like, I'll tell you after. This person was such an asshole to me at a party. And it just like completely turned me off of them. And I was such an admirer and fan of them. And then like this one interaction, I was like, nope.
Oh, that's so tough. That's so tough. And I always, I don't know about that situation. I always try to give people like some benefit of the doubt because it's such a weird situation to
I
meet.
didn't even say anything bad to the person.
Oh, I
I
wouldn't
was
think that
just
you would.
like,
Of course not.
like,
No.
I love the show that you were in, and they just
Rude.
were complete douche nozzle.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
There's banging that's been happening since like 9 something this morning. I don't know
I
if it's
can't
next
hear it.
door. It's been driving me nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's see. Where were we?
We're talking about survival jobs.
We're talking about survival jobs.
So what happened? So because I know your other Broadway show was Fiddler.
Yeah.
So what happens between Glass Menagerie and Fiddler? What other than like survival jobs and TV, did you do anything regionally? Were there any auditions that you went on that you got so close and you didn't? Because like in my mind, at some point you could have played Fiyero in Wicked.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. You're welcome. Again, great at casting.
Yeah, I think I've made some mistakes there, both I think positive and negative, because this is what I was gonna say about Andrew Kober. Andrew said the thing about once they see you as a singer, they always want you to sing. And I think there's a positive and a negative thing to that. And especially when I was coming into it, there was very much like, don't let them know that you sing, or you won't ever get cast in a straight play again. And I really took that to heart, I think in the wrong way, because now that I'm an older person who's been in this for a little bit, I'm like, that's just not a real thing. Like you have multiple skills, you should use them and stuff. And people won't.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, but there's just like there sometimes is this delineation between like, oh, these are the people who do straight theater and these are the people who do musical theater. So I wanted to be seen as a straight actor. And so I didn't go in for stuff like that. I didn't. And also I because I wasn't singing regularly, if you put me into a room to sing Fiyero, I wouldn't have been able to do it. Now I could, and now I probably would never get cast as Fiyero. But
one day, Dr. Dillerman, it's fine. Although
exactly.
you'd have to like fight Cobra for that role. So
Right. So
yeah.
I'm working my way towards the wizard. Someday that's what I'm
Yeah.
going to do. And I don't have any other,
Yeah.
but I think that's an interesting, and I think you were talking about on other podcasts, how like people who listen to this might be people who want to get into theater or something. And
Yeah.
so it's just an interesting thing to have gone through the whole process of being told by people who are older than you and quote unquote know more than you, like the way that you should kind of act and stuff. And so I didn't get sent in for a lot of musicals, and I didn't push for that because I was excited to be seen as the guy who could act in straight plays and TV. Even though now I don't think that there's actually that much of a delineation. I mean, look at Gilded Age or any of the HBO shows that are filmed in New York. They're half musical theater actors, like, but I do think there was, and maybe still is in some ways, a little bit of a stigma once you're seen as a musical theater actor.
Well, it's interesting you say that. I'm going to say two things for you. So when we were doing these virtual readings, we would do some Q&A. Sometimes, like with the reading series, we only did one Q&A because we did a new work by Neil Abute, and we thought it would be a good idea to do a Q&A after with him, and he participated with the actors. So that was the only Q&A we did with that company. But in a lot of like the meetings with the actors in the rehearsal rooms, and even in the Q&As with the Play Reading Fridays, a lot of times, I would say, what got you excited about doing a reading of this play? And people are like, it's a play. As a musical theater performer, we don't get offered plays. So it's interesting that you're saying that. And it brings me back to Laura Linney. I call her Queen Linney. She's one of my favorite actors, humans. I just can't say enough about her. I don't know her personally, but that would be great if I ever did. And I would cry because I cried when I met her twice. Anyway, side note, but there's a quote she said, and I think it was an Inside the Actors Studio, or maybe not, but it was, never say that you're one thing because no person is. No. And it's really interesting because you hear so many different things from so many different people. Like, you're not going to get cast until you're older. Like, the thing with the whole, like, musical theater, don't tell them you can sing. So at this point, it's kind of like, who the fuck are you going to listen to?
And also none of it's true. Like, and all of it is, unfortunately, it depends on who you talk to. But you look at any of these people who have these amazing careers, and they all have crazy different paths. Some of them went to great schools, some of them didn't. What? Just none of it really means anything at the end of the day. But the point. What's the point here? The point is that I love singing, and I stopped myself from doing it for basically 8 years as a professional. I mean, even in Fiddler, it was a musical, but I was the one non-singing principal. Which I was
like drunk concerts because there's a YouTube video of you and like Adam Cantor and Ben Rappaport. And I did get to meet him because like he and Adam were like in the front of house, and I think they like stopped and looked at my merch booth, and I met Ben because I really liked the show that he did called Outsourced.
Yeah.
And I told him like I really loved that show because that's how I knew him. And when he got cast in Fiddler, I'm like, that's so cool. And I saw him in Picnic and everything. So which is a play I did in high school, which was horrible.
I mean, great play.
I'm going to say it now into this mic. It was a horrible high school production, and I was the best one in it. And I'm saying that as a fact. And I'll even say this. My mother said to me, Al, because she calls me Al sometimes, I'm not just saying this because you are my daughter, but you were the best one in that show.
I believe it. And also, I mean, what high school production of Picnic is good? It's
very true.
Too much,
I also never shoved my head far enough that teacher's ass to ever get cast in anything. And I may or may not call her the spawn of Satan. And hold a lot of like 17 years later, a lot of like anger towards her still.
Yeah, it's always a tough one.
It's fine. No, Anyway, but so it was exciting to see him in that, and he's doing a show now with Sean Hayes. Sorry, I'm like talking about a different actor. Sean Hayes in Chicago, which I kind of hope they bring to New York because it seems
Such a
like a
good.
really cool.
I read that play. It's really good, and
Yeah,
I'm sure that he's great in it. And Sean
yeah.
Hayes is great in it. I think he's the real deal. He's another guy who's just like
Hmm.
he loves
Hmm.
theater so much, and
And him and
he
his
works
wife are
so
totally
hard.
adorable, by the way. Like
So
they're
adorable,
so
and she's also
adorable.
wildly talented.
Yeah, she's doing a musical with Jackie Burns. They're doing Walk on the Moon.
Oh, good. I didn't know that.
Yeah, with
Cool.
Jonah Platt. I only know this like based on photos that I've seen of press, but
The old
no,
Instagram.
because I did a reading. My first reading ever directed
Hey,
was uh
Allison, have you ever
yeah.
directed a reading?
Oh my God, I'm gonna stop talking now.
I'm
Bye.
I'm just teasing you.
Oh my God, how red am I?
Oh my God, I'm just kidding.
No, I
Which
was gonna name drop, but we can move on.
oh no, you should name drop. That's what we're doing a
I was gonna
podcast
say it was
on.
with Jonah Platt, and then I did one with Jackie Burns, and they're working together. Good. Okay.
I saw
Way to make me feel like shit. Thanks, Nick.
no, I'm so sorry. I thought I was being funny, but
No, it's fine.
not that funny.
It's an embarrassing joke. It's fine. It's all good. Now I've just made this super awkward. So,
Yeah,
let's just get into Fiddler. How did Fiddler come about? And also
Fiddler.
Bart Scher is one of my favorite Broadway directors. So
Yeah, he's amazing. And
mhm,
Fiddler was one of those like I auditioned for it. I didn't hear back for 2 months, so I just let it go. I didn't think it was going to happen.
mhm.
But then I found out they were auditioning like a bunch of other parts and they just weren't doing callbacks for a while. So I went back in. And everybody who ended up being in it was there, Melanie and Sam and Al and everybody. And it was a really fun audition process. I mean, Bart, again, like I love the way he approaches musicals. He approaches, to go back to our old conversation, he approaches musicals like plays.
Mhm.
Um, and so the audition process is really fun, and he asked for a lot in the room and made you work really hard. And yeah, it was fun. It was a series of
Yeah.
callbacks and just thinking it wasn't going to happen, and then I got the call, and it was just, yeah, really special.
I will say, like, what I really like about him is that even if somebody isn't a strong singer and they can play the role, he will cast them. And I
Yeah,
really appreciate that because, he cast Lauren Ambrose and like she could sing, but like nobody thought of that,
but
and
she's
she
not like
played
the
the role
leading lady
beautifully.
of
Yeah.
Broadway that you think would be in that role. Yeah, and
Yeah.
she was great. Yeah.
She was wonderful. And then we saw and then I saw Laura Benanti in it. And then I just like never went back because I meant to see Broadway's father, Danny Burstein, in it. And I just never did. But
Oh, he was so good in it. I went back, yeah, to see him, and it was just a joy.
it was one of those things I'm like, I'll see it. And then it just like closed. But yes, there's a Pace alum who is the standby in it. Kristen Anderson or Kirsten Anderson. Yeah.
I saw her go on, and she is
Yeah, I heard she was
so good.
wonderful.
Oh my God. And just a nice person too.
Yeah.
Um,
She was after my time at Pace.
oh
But
yeah.
I've heard nothing but great things about her and super talented. And I like kind of knew about her because she did the tour of The Sound of Music. And yeah, he's Pace alumni,
Yeah,
kicking ass.
Pace puts out a lot of good people.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so he was awesome about it.
Mhm.
And yeah, it was one of those things where like I kind of figured it wasn't happening because he like came out into the lobby after my final callback and like shook my hand, and I was like, wow, that never happens. Like the director came out and shook my hand. Probably not gonna get it. And then I got the call a couple days later, and that was just, I mean, yeah, it was my first principal role in a Broadway show, and a musical that I loved. I mean, I when I was in middle school and I was still like in the phase of kind of mouthing the words and kind of figuring out that I liked it. They did Fiddler on the Roof at the high school, and I went to see it, and I was like, wow, yeah, I want to do
You're just
this.
like, I want to play Fyedka, which by the way is my favorite name to say.
Yeah,
Because like Perchik is meh, Moisha, Fyedka is a fun
yeah,
name to say.
yeah, it is a fun name. And yeah, it was just really great. And I auditioned through the whole thing with a really strong Russian accent. I came into the first day of rehearsal with a really strong Russian accent. And then we decided to cut accents for anyone who was all the younger characters. They wanted like the new generation to not have
Okay.
accents.
I did not realize that until this moment, because I know there was like a lot of people, his choice of kind of showing like refugees before his time,
Yeah,
Berkshire, or
I know.
not so much, but how he came
Right.
on with the red
Continued to-
burqa and yeah.
yeah, which I just thought he was so smart about that. His original idea was to have it open on just a guy in his apartment in New York playing the violin, and then have the whole set fly out, and all the refugees come up through the basement. That got nixed, but it still had, I think, that kind of feeling of like
Mhm.
the past coming back to tell the story.
Yeah.
And
Look
I
at you
just,
being involved in two shows that have like such interesting concepts.
yeah,
Mostly Celia coming in and out of a couch.
John told me once that that was the only, when somebody asked him to direct it, he was like, I don't know what to do with this, but I know that I want Laura to come out of a couch.
Mhm. Yeah. Or my favorite was like they said, don't touch the water, and then people would touch it.
Oh, all the time. Yeah.
Mhm. And then they
I
get
thought that
mad.
set was so cool with the
Yeah.
black water, and
Mhm.
yeah, I still have my little figurine of the unicorn
Oh,
that I
really?
got.
Did everybody get a Laura Menagerie? Because remember in our rehearsal for it, I was like, maybe Laura's the Menagerie. And then the guy
Yeah,
we had was like, Laura's the Menagerie. And I just like had this smuggish look on my face during that Q&A. It was like, I thought it.
no, yeah, you were right.
Mhm.
Let me see. Yeah. So and with Fiddler,
That had a long run too.
I did
Yeah.
425 performances, I think,
And
somewhere in
I
the.
worked most of them. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah. No,
I
really?
worked, no, so I was the
A
Saturday
lot of them.
person because
Oh,
I had a full-time job. But I didn't work every Saturday, but I was the one merch person who was pretty much there throughout the entire run because I worked first night of previews, which was 3 hours and 10 minutes, which I will never forget because I
yeah.
did merch. And then I worked this final performance.
Yeah, we had never run the show until that first preview in its entirety, and then we had to
Yeah.
cut 10 minutes so that it wouldn't be over 3 hours.
Yeah. I will say
Uh,
though, I watched like a little bit of first night of previews, and when everybody came out to do tradition, I did get a little emotional. It was great.
It's just, that's the thing. Yeah, and again, like, not only like lucky with the concepts and the directors and stuff, but also just that both of those shows are just good shows.
Yeah.
Like you can mess them up, but at the end of the day, like, people are gonna like Glass Menagerie and people are gonna like Fiddler on the Roof, and that was just
Yeah.
really cool.
And I was like, because I was friends, because you work in front of house, you become friendly with like company managers and assistant company managers, and that girl Kim, she was nice enough to like get me a ticket, so I saw it towards the end of the run, and like not to be that person, but like you and Melanie were my favorite couple. I was like, there you go.
Melanie rocks, and she's doing To Kill a Mockingbird on tour.
Oh, I did not know that because I did not really
Just
take a close look at the list, but I
just
saw her in Hello Dolly and she was wonderful.
which, another example of someone who like had done stuff, but
Yeah.
like, she said this to me, like, didn't have a ton of like acting training per se,
Yeah.
and worked so hard on that show, and in my opinion was so good in it, and is now doing a play on tour. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm sure is equally as wonderful in it. She is like a real deal, hardworking, amazingly talented person.
Yeah. I always have a lot of respect for like that. This is why I have so much respect for P. Diddy or Sean Combs, Puffy, whatever the fuck he's calling himself now. And I was telling my friend about this last night, how I have so much respect for him. And it's because I did not see his production of A Raisin in the Sun. But, again, having worked in theaters, you hear people talk about different people. And that's why, again, always be nice because front of house people talk. Everybody, yep. I know stories about lots of things. But what I found that I grew a lot of respect for was he, from what I heard, worked his ass off. Like every night he would be on stage rehearsing with an acting coach, just like making sure he was getting in. I just have so much respect for that. And that's also
Yeah.
why I really love Jessica Chastain because
Mm.
of like the amount of research and hard work she puts in. And I wasn't there for her actor studio, but I remember watching it on TV. I used to work a lot of inside the actor studios.
Cool.
Yeah, it's another story for another time. And she talked about like the amount of research she did for The Help and how her character is from Sugartitch, and the research that she did about the area that her character is from really helped inform her relationship with Octavia Spencer's character. So just
Wow.
like stuff like that, I really respect a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and that was, I think, like a fun thing with Menagerie is like,
Mhm.
I mean, and I'm mostly talking about the guys because I was understudying them, but like the amount of work both of them did, and the like, Brian, who played Jim, handed me his like 1,000-page biography of Tennessee Williams. Was like, you should read this. It's really interesting.
Wow.
And like we were all just, and the fact that again that they included me in that process, which they certainly didn't have to, was really cool. But also, yeah, just how much care they put into making sure that that story was told well, and also how autobiographical it was of Tennessee Williams, which I just didn't. I knew the play, you know, because it's kind of one of those classics that you have to read when you're in high school or acting school or whatever. And yeah, I think Zach did a really good job of incorporating a lot of kind of Tennessee Williams into the performance. And
Yeah.
yeah, anyway.
And then we did it when we did a thing. And we did it because it was our backup show if we couldn't do The Shape of Things.
Oh,
And
really?
I didn't
I
really
didn't know
know
that
it
I
that
was,
well.
I didn't know I was second string.
Mhm. Well, no, because we were trying to do The Shape of Things and we didn't know if
Right.
we would even get the rights. And that was like a huge thing, that it turned out to be a huge thing. And I just honestly, it just started with like a Facebook post of being like, I just want to do a reading because everybody was doing it like on Facebook
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
it started. And then it like imploded, it exploded into this huge thing. But when we decided to like continue to go on with the thing that we were doing, not mentioning what it was, thank you, Nick. Uh, see, that's me joking now. Um, yeah, so I didn't really, honestly, I was kind of afraid to direct it, to be completely honest with you, because I didn't know it that well. And I'm not a Tennessee Williams connoisseur, but
Well, you did not give me that impression. I thought everything went
yeah.
very well.
Oh no, my favorite direction I gave you that I was really proud of is when we were discussing, because honestly, your scene with Erica was my favorite. Just it was so good and beautiful. And when you were trying to figure out like why he's acting the way he did, and I said, I think it's because she represents his glory days back in high school. And you
Yeah.
didn't even think of that. I was like, damn, I am good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, and then we had Augustus on, Augustus on, and
Mhm.
all that autobiographical stuff, and sitting there like pretending I knew. I had no idea.
Oh, wow. You fooled me. See, you're a good actor and a good director.
Yes, sometimes you got to mix the two together.
So I have to ask,
Uh-huh.
are we coming up on a little break here?
Oh, do you need to use the bathroom? All right, we're going to pause, everybody who's listening.
Yeah.
And we're back after a pee break.
Thank
So,
you.
Oh, you're welcome. As somebody who is constantly needing to use a restroom, I get it. I go
Yeah.
before a show, at intermission.
Yeah.
I understand.
Whenever there's a show without an intermission and I know it's going to be over 2 hours, I just get real worried.
There aren't that many shows that are like that nowadays. Although I will say Slave Play almost did me in, but I very much enjoyed Slave Play. My bladder, not so much.
Yes. Yeah. I did okay bladder wise, but yeah, I also enjoyed it. I didn't see it until just recently.
Oh, really? Yeah, I saw when it was first on Broadway at the Golden, right? It was at the Golden?
I think so. I
Yeah.
think that I'm really, I mean, I was really moved by it. I'm really curious what it would have been like to have seen it pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
It's so timely, and then so many things happened.
Yeah. Well, I remember when I worked in hospitality, I was as concierge, and it was mostly a sales job because we just sold things and we couldn't do what like actual concierges do without like getting in trouble by our company.
Yeah.
But a lot of people would ask about Slave Play, and I said, I can't tell you what it is because then I will give it away.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
didn't know going in. I had only seen the pictures of the period piece kind of
Yeah.
aspect of it. Well, I mean, I don't know if we should give anything away on this podcast, But I
Again,
didn't.
there's only two people who listen to it, and the people
Well,
who do listen to it have already seen it. And it's been
sure.
out for so long now that they show the modern clothing, and
Oh,
even
you're right.
press
You're right.
releases of, or like the new press photos, they even do show the modern clothing aspect of it.
I
So
somehow missed all of that and went into it totally ignorant, and so I was very shocked and
mhm,
excited, and yeah, it was a cool experience to not
yeah,
know what was going to happen like that.
that's how I
Um,
felt about Take Me Out. I mean, I knew certain things were going to be shown, but I always knew of that play, but I just like I never read it, even though I had the script for, and I think
mhm,
I still do, but I kind of went in not really knowing what was going to happen. And I'm
mhm.
happy. I also thought like Jesse Tyler Ferguson's character was a reporter and he's not. So I was
I,
like, I got that wrong.
I don't remember. I read it in college. I don't remember. I got to go see that. My friend Carl Lundstedt is in it from school.
Oh,
It
cool.
looks really good. You
Yeah,
just
no,
saw
I really, yeah, I saw it on last Tuesday. Then I'm seeing another show tomorrow. So got my things lined up. I'm excited.
That's a real power couple. Carl is married to Danae Benton, who's
Yeah.
the lead
She,
of
oh
Gilded
my
Age.
God. I cannot wait for Into the Woods. She took over for Ashley Park. She's taking over for Ashley Park in Into the Woods at City Center. You're a
Oh,
bad theater person that you don't know any of
that
this.
theater person. I really well see, but that's
Yes.
not true. I'm obsessed, but I have been just out of the loop with yeah, I've been out of the loop.
You don't have you have my email, so you can be like, Allison, what's happening? I'll be like, Nick,
Okay.
let me
Can
tell
you
you.
give me a little digest every
Yes.
so often?
Well, it's funny because that with my old job, they knew me as like the theater person. So that's why
Mm.
they purposely put me at a specific desk just to sell theater tickets. And I mean, now that like the pandemic happened and like I'm not as like gung ho, like Broadway obsessed as I was, but I still know my stuff. I'm mostly
Yeah,
seeing it because Heather Headley is playing the witch, and that's all I care about.
totally.
Do you not know who's in this cast?
I don't know who's in this
All right, I just
cast.
want to see how blown your mind is going to be.
Okay.
Christian Borle as the baker,
Incredible.
Sarah Bareilles as baker's wife.
Oh, wow. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Love
So
her.
get your tickets now. And then there's other people who I can't think of at the moment, but
Danae?
Danae is in it. Oh, they just, somebody else. Oh, fuck. Who's the guy? They just announced somebody else is like one of the princes. And now it's really bothering me that I can't think of who it is.
That rocks
Hold on.
already.
I'm going to talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to look it up really
I'm
quickly.
such a Sarah Bareilles fan. Like again, somebody who like
I, I, it was like not this Saturday night. What's today? Monday. Last Saturday, I did this huge walk, like all the way down to Union Square from my apartment. And I was walking down West 13th Street. And then I ended up walking behind Sarah Bareilles and her boyfriend, Joe. And I was like,
Joe.
and he had their dog. And you know, when you're walking behind people and they have the puppy and the puppy like stops every 2 seconds.
Uh-huh.
So I had like one of those interactions and he and I spoke for a hot second about like their dog. And I didn't want to be like, I know who you are because I'm not crazy, a little bit, but not so much. Okay.
I don't know if I would have been able to help it. I saw him in a play like
He's great.
6 or 7 years ago off Broadway, and I was like, this is one of the best performances I've ever seen.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's kicking ass.
yeah.
He's TV, film. He was the original Earl in
Yeah,
Waitress.
yeah.
And then when they did it again, my friend and I actually saw the first night it was back on Broadway. So we went to
Oh,
the first musical back on Broadway. Okay, Sarah Bareilles, okay, Danae, Christian Borle. Okay, Gavin Creel.
wow.
He's the wolf
So
and Cinderella's prince.
amazing.
Yeah. Heather Headley. Sorry, I love her.
That rocks.
She's the
Wow.
reason
So
that
fun.
I saw The Color Purple because she's
Oh, yeah. Into the Woods is definitely up there, one of my favorite shows. So that's cool.
Mhm.
That's great.
You know what's interesting? So a lot of people when Sondheim passed away, they talked about how they grew up with Sondheim. And I didn't really like know his stuff until I was in college. Like you kind of know his music, but I wasn't like fully aware of like
Yeah.
all of his musicals until then. Like I grew up with like Rodgers and Hammerstein. Like that was my childhood. And like Victor Victoria and Seven Brides for Seven Brothers and Grease and Annie. Like that was my youth and boy bands. So yeah. Were you like a Sondheim person growing
I
up?
was, I was obsessed with Sweeney Todd like my junior year of high school.
Mhm.
Again, like kind of shows
I'm
where
assuming that's on your list of dream roles.
oh yeah. Oh
You
yeah.
and everybody else, not in a
You
bad
mean
way, but
everybody else? No, totally. In a whatever way. But yeah, for sure.
yeah.
But even as a 16-year-old, I was like, that's the part I want to do. I had no interest in being Anthony or anything.
Would you
um
want to play like Anthony and then have your phone go off? And I want to see if you got my reference to this. You don't watch The Office, do you?
I have watched most of it.
So Andy is doing a production of Sweeney Todd and they all go
Oh,
to see him.
I didn't get to that then. I think I watched like the first. I think I watched through the proposal and then I stopped.
Yeah. A friend of mine from college, she actually turned me on to The Office. And then like years later, I still like thank her whenever I like talk to her. I'm like, you are the reason I watched The Office. It is my
Yeah.
happy place. I will always find it on TV whenever it's on. But yeah, Ed Helms' character Andy played Anthony in the production that they did. And that like they open the show with him coming in with the other actors singing Sweeney Todd, and then Dwight gets up with the knife.
Okay,
Just
maybe I'm
watch
gonna
that episode. It's great.
maybe I'll watch that one episode.
Yeah. Okay, so Fiddler
Okay.
on the Roof. Fiddler
Yep.
closes. What
Yep.
happens after Fiddler?
Fiddler closes and I went to Chicago and I did Shakespeare in Love
All
right
right,
after.
now it's time for our deep dive conversation
Oh,
that I
heck
said
yeah.
that we are going to do.
Here we go, hot dog.
Here's I told you I have a dream cast with a specific people, specific
wait.
director. And this is
Okay.
solely based on the movie he did with them and a Shakespeare play he did with them.
Okay.
Kenneth Branagh,
Oh,
Richard Madden, and Lily James.
sorry. Are you going to tell me who's Kenneth Branagh playing?
He's directing it.
Oh, he's directing it. Okay.
He's directing it.
Yeah.
And then Richard Madden as Will Shakespeare.
Wow, sure. He's amazing.
And Lily James as Viola de Lesseps.
Wow. Okay.
That is like in my head what should happen. I'm kind of surprised it hasn't come to Broadway, but I feel like it's more of a regional show as opposed to like a Broadway show at this point.
Yeah, I don't
Because I feel like it would have been done on Broadway by now.
Right. Yeah, I think it lived in a halfway place between like almost being a musical and almost being a straight play. And I think actually like the production that I did in Chicago was really, really wonderful. I don't know that was ever on track to go to New York. But I think others were and didn't quite find the right like tone is my impression. I don't know. I've certainly never heard anything like bad about it. But yeah, I think the play is great. And I think the movie is great. I think the script is really good.
Well, like I told you before we started, it is one of my all-time favorite movies ever. It's my favorite actually. And when I found out they were doing a play of it, I even wrote about my anger on Facebook about it. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I have to see this because they did it in the West End.
Yeah.
You would think it would come to New York and then it didn't. And then I know that they did it in Chicago that you were in, and then they did it in Canada.
Yeah, they did it when I did it. All of a sudden, right after that, a bunch of like Oregon Shakespeare did it. A bunch of regional, like big regional places did it. Yeah. So I think that they kind of made that decision. They were like, okay, we're going to sell it to regional theaters instead of, or not sell it, but let it out for regional theaters to do instead of trying to get it to New York. But I don't think that's the end of it. I hope it does come to New York. I think it's a great play.
Yeah. So what was that like? So you guys obviously knew Fiddler was coming to a close, right?
Yeah.
And so when that was happening, did you just start auditioning for things and this was one of them, or how did that come about?
Yeah, the last like couple months of Fiddler, I just auditioned a lot, and that happened, and it was just such a cool. I hadn't experienced that before. I went from Glass Menagerie into just kind of nothingness for a while. And then so to have something lined up right after another show was something I'd never experienced. It was pretty fun. And also my whole family's from Michigan, like I said. And so I think more people came to see Shakespeare in Love than came to see Fiddler on the Roof from my like extended family and stuff. And that was really fun. It was fun to work in Chicago. It felt kind of like almost like being back home. And I love Chicago too.
I've
Just love it.
actually never been to Chicago, but my younger sister did go to Northwestern and now she's in graduate school at Chicago. So I'm like, one day I'll visit her and I just
Yeah. You
haven't.
should. It's a great city and also great theater. Great
Well,
theater.
yeah, Steppenwolf is there.
Steppenwolf, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Good speed and Chicago Shakes is great, and yeah, a lot of little like storefront theaters that people put a lot of work into that are great.
Well, if I go, it'd just be to see the Seurat painting and to see the Bean and to see my sister.
Yeah.
And that would be like because I've said like when I go to Chicago, the two things I need to do is see the Bean and that Seurat painting and imitate the photo that Sondheim has of him looking at the painting.
Totally.
That's all that
Yeah.
matters.
I think
Yeah.
I have one of those of me. Yeah, it was so cool to see that in person. Also, they did that there with Carmen Cusack, didn't wasn't
Yeah.
that it?
And
Just about good casting.
oh my God, what's his name? Someone
Jason
else is,
Lee.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she did the City Center production of it.
Oh, really?
She was in the, she was someone in it. She wasn't Dot, obviously. That was Annalie Ashford, but yeah.
Oh,
Did you see that or did you miss that too?
I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah. Carmen was
She.
in the City Center version. She didn't go to Broadway with it though.
Oh, I saw it on Broadway. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With our favorite podcaster, Andrew Kober.
Drew Kober. Yes. Yes. Yes.
This whole
Although
podcast is about Andrew Kober, nobody
I don't
else.
think we saw him in it, right? Because he covered a bunch
He,
of
yeah,
roles.
he was an understudy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But to
Did I
talk
see
about a stacked cast, that was pretty wild.
Yeah, that
Um,
was really, that was a wonderful show.
Yeah.
Fucking banging. So Shakespeare in Love ends. You're in Chicago. Then what happens? Where is your life now? What's going on?
I think I really got in that mode of I wanted to do. I mean, it was really great because I'd played this, smaller but important part in Fiddler. It was really special. And then I went to do that show where it was a 3 hour long show and I was on stage for almost every second of it, speaking verse, screaming, crying. I mean,
I haven't read it because I just haven't brought myself to read it, even though I own the script. Do you think they tried to make it like a Shakespeare play? Because I know at the end of your production, you guys had a big like dance number that they usually do in a Shakespeare play at the end of it.
yeah, it did have a lot of elements of that. And they basically put on, I mean, half of my character is playing Romeo in
Yeah.
Romeo and Juliet. Yeah, so it definitely has the feeling of a Shakespeare play. And it was cool to do it in Chicago where they kind of formulated the stage to almost be like the Globe. It was in 3/4 and the set looked like the Globe and everything.
I saw.
Yeah. So I think,
Something.
yeah, but that was just a really cool challenge because I was on stage for every second. It was a huge responsibility and I learned a lot and I got to speak Shakespeare. And then, so I think I really wanted to come back and do plays like that and try to continue in that vein. And
you did Pride and Prejudice somewhere too, right? Where you played
and
Mr. Darcy. Did
St.
you
Louis,
come out of the water like what's his face? Or
no, it was
did you just like appear from like a smoky field like Matthew McFadden, whose real name is David?
It was less sexy than that. I didn't get to do any of those sexy things, but it was a great production. And the director, Hannah Sharif, who is the artistic director of that theater now, directed it. It was her first show as artistic director, and she was really great, and the cast was great. And again, I kind of found my niche of playing angry British people, from Shakespeare in Love to that, and now I'm doing Hood, which is Sheriff of Nottingham, angry British guy.
I feel like Hood is a modern take on Robin Hood, even though it doesn't take place in modern times. Would you say that is correct?
That is correct, because there is sort of a framing device for it. I don't know how much I'm allowed to say, but
that show's been around for a while. It wasn't it rumored to come to Broadway at some point, or am I just making that up in my head?
They did a production of it in Dallas 4 years before I got involved with it. And then it kind of, fell away for a little bit. And now I've been working on this version of it for the last 3 years, doing various readings and things. So it is that production, but it is totally different.
Have you
I mean, it's not that
the sheriff the whole time, or?
Yeah. Since 2019, we did a reading of it down at the Oslo
Mhm.
workshop of it, and now we're going back to the Oslo. I mean, that production
Florida?
was supposed to happen then, in 2020, and then
Where in
2021.
Florida is
And,
that? Because I just found out last night I'm going to Florida for Memorial Day weekend.
oh, it's in
Yeah.
Sarasota.
Yeah, no, I'm not by there. I'm gonna
Yeah,
be in Boca.
west.
I'm gonna be
Um,
in Boca Raton, as the Jews say.
that is where I spent every winter as a kid, in
Oh,
Pompano
wow.
Beach.
That means nothing to me. If it's not Disney, I don't know it.
It is right by Boca Raton, right by Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, I'm gonna be spending so much time in Florida this year. My dad bought a house in Florida, so he's like plotting his escape from New York.
Got it.
And my older sister booked the family for my mom's 65th birthday. Sorry to age you, mom. She doesn't listen to this. A cruise to Mexico, and it flies out of Fort Lauderdale. So
Huh, yeah.
yeah. And I just really love Disney. So that's
I think we have a little hood cast Disney trip planned.
I will give you any and all details. Go on to Undercover Tourist to get your discounted tickets.
Well. Okay.
We just brought the citrus swirl back, which I was so excited about. I posted it on Instagram because I was like, this is the only news that matters. I have two Instagrams. So
Oh,
my
okay.
personal and the podcast.
Okay.
Yeah. But so how did Drowsy come about?
Drowsy was just really lucky.
Because your friend Emily, right?
Emily Cook,
Yeah.
who's a longtime Wicked Alphaba,
And also has done The Waitress.
done The Waitress. Yes.
She played the drowsy chaperone, which I'm
Played
sure
the
she just
Shepherd.
like murdered in a good way.
She was incredible. I mean, obviously age inappropriate, but so good.
It's a regional theater. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it was the best, and everyone involved at the theater was great. She has a relationship with them because it's a really cool place. They have a theater, and also the person who runs the theater also runs a school there. So when you go to do a job there, you kind of also get to teach some classes and do master classes and stuff like that. So it was just lucky that the director Raylan asked Emily if she had anybody in mind for two of the roles, for Robert and for George, the best man. And
as soon as you said it, I just started saying, George, the best man.
George, the best man, George. And luckily I had a chat with the director, and she was willing to let me do it. And so that was just really fun. We kept joking it was Cook casting. Emily's last name is Cook, so Raylan was like, yeah, we got Cook casting, and all
Maybe
of her
she
friends.
could do that as a side gig. You never know.
You know what? She's good at it. It's another person. I mean, it's not you, but she's pretty good at casting as well.
Listen,
And,
I know I'm not the only one in the world who's really good at casting.
okay, but you're up there.
And I would get into arguments with people about who they thought should be in parts. I was like, absolutely not.
Wow. See, it's good to have that though. I think. Yeah, so that was just great. And that was the first thing I did for 2 years of the pandemic. I mean,
what did you do during the pandemic? I mean, other than what we worked on, but did you get a chance to do other readings? What did you do? Did you teach? I don't see you on like a Broadway Plus you could have joined.
I fully left the situation. I did our reading, and then I was like, cool, I'm not gonna do anything else. I hate theater now. Not because of that, but because I was just like,
did I destroy your theater dream?
No, that was actually really special. That made me feel like, oh my God, I love this. And then slowly over the next few months, I was just like, I don't know how to like there's no auditions, there's no, you know what I mean? So I kind of just was like, cool, I don't maybe I'll just like not push to do anything is what I mean. And then I actually moved to Michigan. My parents had this wild idea. They wanted to buy a house and renovate it. And I was kind of, struggling a little bit. I was in Minnesota with my girlfriend at the time, like we talked about when we did.
You also did carpentry for a while, right? Like, or you studied carpentry. Again, stalker. I call it research.
No, it's research. It's great. I'm very famous, so it's just all over the place.
Very famous, exactly.
But yeah, they were like, we want to renovate a house. Would you want to come help? And so I ended up living in this house in Michigan and renovating it. And I did everything myself. I tore down walls. I did all the landscaping. I put in a full kitchen.
Did you create your loft bed yourself because you're that
I
handy?
did not, because it's just hard in New York. It's like I don't have a place to make things, like in order to do something like a bed, you really need like a table saw and
Mhm.
blah blah blah.
You
And
like
there's
the Nick Offerman of Broadway that you can just like make a canoe?
that is what I would love. Yes, that's
Got it.
like I please have somebody say that is me. I would love that.
Well,
Um,
somebody just did, so you're welcome.
I can't, thank you. I can't make a canoe, but I can make a lot of things out of wood. I've made a lot of tables.
Mhm.
I love woodworking. But
Or
that
maybe
would,
you should just like start an Etsy account and sell these things, and then you can go on to that crafting show with him and Amy Poehler called Making It. Have
of
you watched Making It? It is the most joyful
course,
show.
so fun. I know. Yeah. No, that's the thing. And that's the only thing that's hard about. So I went through this period where I was like, see, yeah, I don't want to live in New York because I can't do like woodworking in New York. Like there's no
Mhm.
space. I was like, maybe I'll just stay in Michigan, blah, blah, blah. And obviously that was a phase. I think a lot of people went through that phase, and I'm kind of grateful for it. And that's what I meant by I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Is it
Yeah.
obviously wasn't because of anything. It was just like, if I'm gonna take a break, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna really do it and not just be sitting around and saying, oh, this guy's getting this part and this guy's doing this reading and stuff. And you know what I mean? So I kind of like got off my social media and all that stuff, and just focused on the house for a while. And it was really great. It was very
Well, you
fun.
don't actually post that much on social media to begin with anyway. So
It's tough for me. It's like I definitely understand the upside of it. And
yeah.
I think over the pandemic, if anything, I learned a ton about social issues on Instagram. I would see things that I would make me kind of question things, then I would do further research, or
Mhm.
but I saw a lot of things for the first time on Instagram,
Mhm.
um through everything, through the protests, through
Yeah.
the election. um but yeah, I kind of got off the theater aspect of it, because I was just feeling like that feeling that I don't think is useful for anybody, of being like jealous and envious or frustrated by what I'm doing and other people aren't. And
Mhm.
it wasn't a real time, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
nobody was doing what they wanted to be doing, quote unquote, during the pandemic. And if they were, it was in short stints, or you're seeing, as everyone talks about all the time, you're seeing the like greatest hits of somebody's life. And I think it was just healthier for me to kind of like back out of that for a little bit. And long story short is that I've never been happier to be back in New York. I've never wanted to do this more.
Yeah.
Like I think that's a silver lining of the pandemic, is that because there had been times in the 8-9 years that I was in the city before the pandemic where I thought, maybe this isn't right. Maybe this is, I don't like this feeling. I don't like feeling like I'm aimless or just waiting for the next audition to come around.
Mhm.
And now I just have I think my love for it has been so reignited by kind of deliberately choosing to go away for a little bit,
Yeah.
um
Do
during the
you think if that were to happen again, where you're just kind of in this lull, do you think you'll respond the same way, or do you think you'll handle it differently, or you just don't know
handle it.
because you're not
I think
there yet?
I think I'll handle it differently,
Mhm.
because I think um yeah, I just kind of realized from being away that it is what I want to do, and I don't really have an option. Like
Yeah.
I thought about going to grad school. I thought about maybe doing like house flipping full time, because I've enjoyed it, and I think I did a pretty decent job with the house and stuff. But yeah, I love this too much.
Yeah.
And I think I was getting really negative about some things, and now I don't feel that way, especially having done a little bit of teaching with this theater. I
Mhm.
mean, I love teaching it. I love
I
talking
was
about it.
going to ask further about the teaching because your website, you do have teaching as one of your tabs. So throughout the time between between gigs, I guess you could call it, were you also teaching?
You know, the teaching thing is so funny, because like I taught a ton during and right after Fiddler,
Mhm.
because there is like I wouldn't even say culture, because it's not a bad thing, but there's just like, if you're in a show, people are way more willing to pay you money to teach
Yeah.
them about acting.
Well, I mean,
You know?
that's also like if you look at Broadway Plus, and I will say that a lot of my quote unquote casting, I would look at performers who were on Broadway Plus and who put themselves on Cameo, and Sam Pauly, who I love and adore, and she's in Six. Like she just like kept coming up in the back of my mind, and I quote unquote discovered her because of Cameo. And it
Wow.
ended up putting her in one of the things that I did.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I'm just curious about that. And, and yes, I agree with what you're saying, because they'll say like what they were in, and Broadway Plus is wonderful. Like I met Adam Pascal virtually because
Oh.
my sister got me a gift card for it, but they divide it up into shows. But I think there is some sort of aspect where if you're in a show, people will be more interested in having you teach.
Right. Yeah, and it's especially like for bigger things or like master classes or stuff. I was able to teach like Fiddler on the Roof specific master classes, and that time is expired on that kind of thing. And so I did try for a while to kind of build like a little studio of people like that I would do. I had a couple of people that I did, college audition prep for, but again, it was something that I kind of had to either choose to put more of a full-time effort into or not. And I think combination pandemic and everything else, I just kind of didn't. And so I'm not sure where that'll lead, but I do enjoy it.
You also wanting to start doing photography.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How's that going?
Great. I love photography. Oh, this is the other thing I was going to say. And then we're never talking about Andrew Kober again. Is that he said something.
Again, I will text him and be like, I just did a podcast. Rehberger just kept mentioning you.
Kept fanboying about you for the whole
Go
time.
see him in Beetlejuice and then be like, I love you.
Oh, great. Oh, wow. Yeah, what a treat.
I'm gonna make everybody super jealous. He may or may not have told me that he was in Beetlejuice before they announced it. Thank you.
Wow. Hey, that's fun.
Yeah. Well, no, because with this concert that we did, I was like, how do you want me to, because I hosted the night naturally. I was like, how do you want me to introduce you? And he said, well, if they announce the Beetlejuice casting before the concert, you can mention that. If not, don't say anything.
Whoa.
So they announced it like the day or two after the concert.
Got it.
And so like my friend who like was our co-producer, she's like, oh my God. I was like, I already knew. So
that's so cool.
Yeah.
It's fun to be in the know.
Yeah.
But he was saying something about, I don't remember what it was, but something that he does where it's like, oh, I think maybe being a pilot or something, where there's like a completeness to it, because there is no completeness. You can be in a Broadway show and you never, people will feel differently about it every night. You might have off nights. You might, you know what I mean? Like there's just that you're never like, oh, this is my performance. It's locked in. It's perfect. I figured it out. I did different things on the very last night of Fiddler, but
You're
with
like, fuck it, it's the last night.
Right. Well, sure, there was that.
Fuck you. No, I'm just joking.
But I do have a funny story about that actually. But
it's like the curtain not fully closed when Tevye was like saying no to her, the shower curtain that came across the stage. Do you not remember this moment after his song Chava, little Chavala? And then she's like, Father, and then he like closes a curtain on her.
Yeah.
I was making a joke of like, did it not close?
Oh, no, I just mean about.
It's also like very specific that I just like weirdly all of a sudden remember that.
I know, it's so funny. I feel like I dump everything from a show the minute it's done. Like I did that 425 times. I can't remember a single line in it from my character, which is crazy. But that's just kind of the way.
I remember, because there's a bootleg of it online.
I mean, I remember saying like, yeah. I don't remember. But I kind of do that. I'm pretty good at learning lines, but then the minute I'm done with something, I just like eject it.
I think that's everybody.
Yeah. I know some people who can like still do their whole.
Well, I will say though, I was a cheerleader in 8th grade, which shocks a lot of people that I was a cheerleader. But there's still some like cheer moves I still know how to do when I was in 8th grade.
Yeah.
So that I understand.
Yeah, especially when you're younger. I feel that way about tap. It's like I hadn't tapped in 10 years when I did the show. And then all of a sudden he'd be like, do you remember a maxi Ford? And I would say no. And then he'd do it once and I'd be like, oh, right. My feet just kind of knew what a maxi Ford was.
It's like riding a bicycle.
Yeah. Wow, we've taken a bunch of route, or I've taken a bunch of routes here. We went, but
Again,
photograph.
we go off track so much in these
That's
podcasts.
that's
It's
the joy of it.
fine.
It's very fun to
Yeah.
listen to.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
that's the
other
joy because people, we're just having a conversation. And that's
yeah,
what happens when people have conversations.
yeah. But a photograph, you're like, okay, I'm going to finish this. I'm going to send it to somebody, and that's the photograph they're going to use.
Mhm.
And so it's just nice to be like, there is a finished product.
Mhm.
And I feel that way about woodworking. It's like when you finish the table's a table. It's not a performance. Like,
But it does also just reminded me of an episode of The Office too, where it's my favorite episode of The Office, where it's the dinner party, which I'm
mhm,
sure you've seen. And
that's
Michael made that really bad table with the candle on top of it,
yep.
Nordic pine.
Nordic.
Oh, it's such a
Wow,
good show.
it is. It's great. So anyway, I just agree that having things that are more substantive in
Mhm.
terms of a finished product can be
Yeah.
very helpful. And the reason we talked about that is teaching, doing things that aren't acting. I don't know. Oh, but I just like, yeah, I think I'm grateful
Mhm.
for all the horrible things. And obviously I came out of the pandemic, pretty unscathed, and a lot of people had horrible tragedies and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So I'm certainly not making light of it in any way. But the silver lining for me was that I really got to realize that this is what I love. And I'm just so happy to be able to do it. And
Yeah.
so,
And you
um,
got to be in a scene with Queen Latifah,
oh,
right?
I mean, yes. Yeah. And that happened, right when I got back to New York,
Mhm.
which was just a little like, it was a tiny little part, but it was just like, okay, cool. Like they're like, I can do this. There's something for me to do here.
I'll
So
admit, I saw you post about it, so I DVR'd the episode and I watched it. Not the whole thing, just your scene, but it
yeah, yeah,
was kind of like a fucked up story how that happened.
yeah,
Like
really,
the
very much.
mother like couldn't find the kid, but then it turned out your adopted kid said he was that kid because the other kid didn't want them to know what happened. It was weird.
I've tried to explain that to other people, and you just did it more succinctly, I think, than I ever have.
Oh, I
Uh,
explained Flying Over Sunset to my friend a few weeks ago, and she was like, "What?" I was like, "I that happened."
I didn't get to see that. Um,
People are like, "What do you think the show?" is like, I still honestly don't know how I felt about it or feel
Interesting.
about that show. I do remember at one point being like, what the fuck is happening? But maybe that's how you're supposed to feel because everybody was on LSD.
Oh,
Um, but I mean, everybody worked their ass. It's kind
yeah,
of hard now. I think now that I've been seeing shows for like 30 years, and maybe it's also just age where, if you don't enjoy a show, you also, there's an aspect of being like, I feel really bad. I didn't like it because these people work so hard on it,
uh,
and it's not an easy thing putting up a Broadway show.
well,
I kind of,
I think rarely do people go into the process with anything but good intent. I mean, certainly there are, money side of it that
yeah.
sometimes is great, but like no artistic person goes into it with
Mhm.
any intention but to do the best possible job they can. So,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
that's not happening, it does
Yeah.
suck for
There,
everybody involved.
there's one show, I'm not going to say what it is on the podcast, but
Okay.
there's this one show where it was like, not good. You thought it was going to get good and then it just didn't. And I was just sat there. I'm like, I feel so bad for these people dancing on stage right now because they're clearly dancing their asses off and the show just isn't good.
Right. Yeah. I think I might know what you're talking about.
You'll have to tell me after because I'm very curious to know.
I
It
know
was
it's
Fiddler on the Roof. No, I'm just joking.
yes, exactly. No. Talk about amazing dancing. And I stood in the back and I clapped as other people danced.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't remember who won No, that was the year of Hamilton, so you guys didn't win anything. But I secretly hoped that Fiddler would have at least won choreography.
I know. Well, didn't we?
No, it was Hamilton.
We won something, right?
Did you?
Yeah.
Maybe no, and no, it wasn't that.
I think we did actually. Am I crazy?
Hold on, it's gonna bother me.
Because I don't think we won anything else. Danny was nominated, which obviously he should have been.
Well, a lot of people thought that Lin-Manuel and Leslie, oh my God, what's his name? What's his name? Who won? His name is not.
Leslie Odom Jr.
Yes, thank you. A lot of people thought that they were going to cancel each other out and Danny was going to win.
Oh, huh.
But that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Danny always has my vote for anything.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he is a magical human being. So the first Broadway show I ever saw was South Pacific at Lincoln Center with
I
Danny
saw
Burst.
that 6 times. All right. Hold on.
And again, I just dump everything from my mind. I have a terrible memory. So I don't know.
I don't want to break your heart, Nick, but you did not win any Tony Awards.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Okay.
There was Drama Desk, though, for director of a musical and outstanding lead actor, but I think that was because Hamilton could not have been nominated.
Right. Well, it's just because I didn't dance. And so they were like, well, there's not enough dancing from him. We can't give him a Tony. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You know what? And I don't mean for this to sound how it's going to sound, but what I really liked about the choreography of that was just a little bit dirtier than what you're used to. Because it was more like nitty gritty. And I just loved that.
Oh, and that was.
Have you seen Moulin Rouge?
Yes. Yeah.
The choreography during Roxanne, where the women hold on to the guy's ankles and they slide across the stage.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I mean, the choreography in that show, I don't know how any of those people are doing it. It's a marathon. There are like 60 numbers and it's all amazing. I mean,
I'm actually more exhausted after listening to Aaron Tveit sing than I am about them like dancing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's working real hard in that show.
Yeah. I love that show. I actually saw it for its out of town tryout in Boston and many other times after.
Oh wow. Yeah, I'd like to see it again now. I saw it, pre-pandemic. But I do think Bart was really smart with the choreography in that he hired Hofesh, who was a Israeli concert dancer. So he didn't have any musical theater background, and he came in and he did his own thing, which was cool and worked, I think.
I agree. It was just honest. Fiddler was a great production too.
And we won a Tony for it in my mind. So
yes, the Invisible Tony. Again, that was the year of Hamilton. So like even Barbara Streisand coming out at the end dressed like she was in Hamilton. And they even closed the show with the medley of Hamilton, to which I think I like commented on Facebook, like, do you think this is Hamilton being like, we won all of the awards and all of the land, so we're just going to sing it?
Yeah. No, I mean, they
still haven't seen Hamilton on Broadway.
You haven't?
No.
Have you seen it somewhere else?
Disney Plus.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think
I was supposed to go for my big numbered birthday last year because again I'm 25, even though big number birthday last year would have been 24. My sister got me a ticket for it, but it ended up being the same day as my very good friend's wedding. So I couldn't go, and I ended up selling my ticket and then buying tickets to see other shows that I was more interested in seeing.
Yeah.
And I think I used that money maybe to buy. No, it was probably I don't think it was the same year as Angels in America. No, that was not the same year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw that twice. That was great. Anyway, so let's move on. Anything else you'd like to add before we move on?
No, I think we just talked about the pandemic and coming back kind of reinvigorated. I feel very lucky that I got to do the house and we sold it, which was really nice. Great. And so my family got to take the money they put into it back, and and I got to have had a little project that I did over the pandemic that made me feel useful. And now
to go into real estate and just like flip apartments.
You're
welcome.
It's a lot of work, man. It's a lot of work.
You get like a bunch of Broadway people together.
That's true. There is a weird faction of Broadway people who love like design and woodworking and that. I think it's all related, isn't it? Like craftsmanship.
We have planted the seed. It's going to be called what? Like Rehberger construction.
Yeah, sure.
And your symbol will be a burger.
A burger. I know.
I
When I was a kid, I always wanted to open a restaurant called Ray's Burgers. Really cool, man.
My stepdad's family is Italian, so I always had a dream of opening up an Italian restaurant called Aunt Joanne's because his aunt's name is Joanne.
I love that.
Called
I
Aunt
love
Joanne's.
restaurants named
Nobody
after.
knows that, but
Wow.
I told you.
Thank you.
Okay, so what are your top going theater experiences?
Wow. Um, I was thinking about that, and I am obsessed with Shakespeare in the Park and seeing John Lithgow. Lithgow. It's Go, right?
Yeah.
As King Lear is definitely one of my top theater going experiences.
I was more excited over the fact that Annette Bening was going to be in it. So
Absolutely. And Jessica Hecht, my darling Jessica Hecht. What a weird thing.
I think we tried to get her for Glass Menagerie.
Yeah, I remember you saying that at one point.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think our cast worked out perfectly well.
Oh, it definitely worked out. Yeah.
Because I mean, Emily Skinner is just, I was a little intimidated by her, but
Oh, me too.
I was also really intimidated by Mary Testa, who's lovely. She did Rabbit Hole with us.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about a great cast, I'm gonna just like name drop people now. Celia Keenan Bolger, as you know, Joanna M. Jackson, Lauren Molina. Oh yeah, Mary Testa, and Andrew Berth Feldman.
Wow, what a cat! I mean, that's send that to Broadway, cut print. Wow.
I know, and we were all kind of like shitting ourselves, like, how the fuck did we get these people to say yes, especially Celia?
You should try to do that off Broadway or something.
If you know anyone. I do have a list of shows that I would love to direct in person that I've done things of, but I don't know how to get that off the ground.
Wow. Well, I mean, having everything that you have, all the readings and the recordings of them is really cool.
Yeah. Archive. Well, we can't post them anymore, but I do have.
But I just mean for you in terms of being a director.
Yeah. Well, I actually got the American Theater Group from The Shape of Things. So it was like a year plus process of just like finally getting to do it because things kept getting delayed. And then I didn't hear from the guy. And then randomly he's like, oh, hey, we're going to do this now.
Wow. Isn't that funny how stuff like that happens? You're like, well, nothing comes of that. And then something does a year later. Yeah.
And then here we are. Anyway, so top going theater experiences.
Okay. So Clear, because I just thought he was incredible. And that's my dream place to work. Every summer I get real close and I've never gotten it.
Maybe this will be the summer.
This will be, no, I think I'm too late. I think I might have missed.
Or maybe next year will be the summer.
Maybe next year. Yeah.
Can I tell you the best production I've ever seen there?
Please.
And ironically, it was also the best seats I ever had. They did a production of Cymbeline in the park with Lily Rabe, Hamish later. I think Patrick Page, Kate Burton, and Raul Esparza.
Kidding me?
And Raul Esparza had like a Vegas-y jazz number at one point in the show. Oh,
I'm such a big fan of his. I'm also such a big fan of Lily Rabe and Hamish Linklater, who are a married power couple. And they're both on this show that I've just been watching that I can't remember the name of, and they're both incredible on it.
It's a scary TV show.
Yeah, scary show.
I don't do scary, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's really good. It's not scary like a horror movie. It's like a emotional thriller, I would say. But they're both.
I used to do a really good impression of her when she was in Merchant of Venice because I did merch for that show. I can't remember the character's name, but she would go, "You are welcome," or something like that. So that was my Lily Rabe impression.
I wish I'd seen it.
Yeah.
I'm such a fan. And then Midsummer with Danny was so fun. Did you see that?
No. Well, the thing is because I refuse to like sleep out overnight in Central Park or just wake up at whatever time. So if I don't win the lottery for it, then I'm not going to go.
I guess I got lucky. I think I stood in line and just happened to be there on a day where the line wasn't a all morning situation.
Wasn't Felicia Rashad also in that?
Yep. And she was amazing. Talk about a presence. Yeah, and I will say that. So I saw the invited dress of Merrily We Roll Along, the Fiasco production off Broadway, a couple seats away from Stephen Sondheim, and that was just so cool because I loved that production of it, and
Mhm.
also to see him at whatever age, in his mid
Yeah.
90s, to be that invested. And I know this now from people who have worked with him. I mean, I never got to work with him in that capacity, but like he was so interested in things growing and changing
Mhm.
and people trying new things. And to see him like cry through a new
Yeah.
production of Merrily We Roll Along was like such a special, wild experience.
Well, I mean, before we started, we were talking about the new revival of Company
Yeah.
in regards to that and them doing the gender swap and everything as well. So, in regards to that, a friend of mine was talking about the biggest problem she had with the production. And she's like, it's not that big of a thing, but it really bothered her was when Bobby says to Jamie, why don't we marry each other? So, like, they'll
Mm.
leave us alone. And she goes, why is she saying that to a gay man? So, that was like the thing that she just couldn't really get past.
I guess I'm just my thought, it was like in 2022 is like sexuality is a spectrum, and
Yeah.
who knows if he, he's in a gay relationship, but
Yeah.
maybe there's some history there or something.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, I didn't take it that way. Like, I understood what she was saying, but I think it was more of just like, you and I don't want this. Why don't we
right.
just get married? And then like everybody can just leave us I mean, I have a backup at 40, but
Right.
I mean, I'm, yeah, but I didn't take it that way. And it's really interesting to hear everybody's perspective. And especially when we were talking about it earlier about how it being a female and how the gender norms change because of it. And I think
Mm,
and I think they spoke about it. That's probably a large reason why they did it and the different aspects. And I think she also had a problem with Joanne offering up her husband Larry to Bobby, as opposed to in the original production where she would say to Bobby, like, why don't you and I get
right.
together?
Right. No, I think those are the two biggest
Yeah.
issues that they had to deal with when changing the
Yeah.
gender of it. And I don't know how successful they were for everybody, but for some, I just enjoyed it a lot, and I was able to
Yeah.
kind of just roll with it. But yeah, it's interesting, and there were parts of it that I felt like were really, really new and interesting because of that change, and then other parts were like it almost felt more dated when you're having all these people tell this woman that her,
Yeah.
quote unquote biological clock is running or something. You're like, well, okay. But I loved it. I thought it was a great production, and the people in it were pretty wild. And
Yeah.
also the most fun I've ever seen Patti LuPone have on stage. Like, she's ridiculous in it in the best way.
Yeah. And even her interpretation of, because she did the part at the
Right.
Philharmonic and obviously she won the Olivier in London. But just like to see how different her Joanne is compared to like what you saw her do at the Philharmonic so many years ago
Yeah.
was really interesting too. And there was like one part of the song that she even looks directly at Bobby for. And it's like, that's a really interesting choice I don't remember what part it was, but I just
Neither.
remember her having that moment. And I also found it really interesting that there was some like Alice in Wonderland factors to the show as
Loved it.
well.
It was so weird and
Yeah.
cool.
It's
Uh,
very Marion Elliott,
yeah.
but in a great way.
Yeah.
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 Did you see her production of Angels in America?
I did not.
Okay.
No. Wait, is that the one that was?
That was with Andrew Garfield.
Oh, I saw it on Broadway HD.
I
Uh,
saw it at 42nd Street myself.
oh wow,
And I think
yeah.
my friends and I sat at one of the parts, sat behind John Cameron Mitchell, and we were like,
Ooh,
that's John Cameron Mitchell.
yeah. I thought that Nathan Lane was just next level in that.
I
So
saw I saw it twice on Broadway, and I like sitting close sometimes because I really like details. I also love a tchotchke, so I love a prop. And his mug that he's drinking out of in the office when you first meet him, because at the end of, because he has that line where it goes, in my next life I want to be an octopus, a fucking octopus. He's drinking out of an octopus mug.
no way.
Yeah, so you see the octopus mug in the beginning of the show, and then like later on in whatever part it is when he's saying he wants to be a fucking octopus.
Yeah.
I just thought that was really cool details.
Eight loving arms and all those suckers. Yeah, what a good play.
Yeah. So
Um,
what other than us going on a tangent about Shakespeare in the Park,
um,
top
okay, so
selling theater
when I
things?
was in high school,
Mhm,
we took a trip, Michigan, we took a trip to Canada to the Stratford Festival, and
mhm,
we saw Hamlet
mhm,
and To Kill a Mockingbird. Obviously not this
mhm.
script, but a really good one. And that was I think my sophomore year of high school. So that was kind of when I was like, I like this, but I don't know if
Mhm.
I didn't have the conceptual idea that it was something I could do as a career. And that was really formative for me, I think, to see like Shakespeare on stage for the first time like that.
Mhm.
I just was kind of blown away by it. And everyone, I think we saw them both in the same day.
Oh,
Like we
wow.
saw To Kill Hamlet in the afternoon, which was 3 hours, and then we saw To Kill a Mockingbird. So all my classmates were asleep, and I was just like riveted, crying, watching To Kill a
That's what
Mockingbird.
I used to have off on Wednesdays, and I would see Wednesday matinees, and it would just be like the fucking worst because all of the high school students just would not shut the fuck up during shows. And I remember I saw Kiss Me Kate, and I actually like said something to kids behind me. And it was
Like,
very nice about it. And I said, guys, listen, I
yeah.
know that you're like, this might not be your thing, but can you please not talk? Just like, please don't. And so those kids I spoke to didn't say anything the second act, but like other kids did who were like right next to them. And I'm like, motherfucker.
Like talking to each other or just like
Yeah,
talking?
you know how like kids just like whisper and all that. And
It's so
I will,
funny because I'd rather have them doing that than being asleep. Because I will say that for both Shakespeare in Love and Pride and Prejudice, we did like 10:30 a.m. student matinees for just kids, and they both theaters were great about bringing in like local high school
Mhm.
people, especially Chicago. Like there's
Yeah,
busloads of people from all
mhm,
over Chicago, and the kids were really rowdy. Like
yeah,
especially because in Shakespeare in Love, like there's a whole like sex scene where we're like making all these crazy noises and stuff, and they kind of went wild. And but it was fun to have like you kind of had to as an actor be like, okay, this is not a normal performance.
mhm,
I'm going to just have to accept that I'm going to be very distracted the entire time and just do the best I can and try to have fun with that because it's
mhm,
like no one's going to listen to, but they would get involved over the course
yeah,
of it. And you're kind of like, wow, that's really
mhm.
special. And we do talk backs with them. And same with like when Elizabeth and Darcy finally kissed in Pride and Prejudice, the entire audience of kids would just like scream.
Like that's fine. But I'm talking about like when people are talking to
No,
each other
are
in a
just
show.
mood. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's annoying. Yeah, we had people who would bring like full dinners to Fiddler on the Roof and just eat them in the mezzanine. Do you
I was
so
at I haven't witnessed, I mean, I will say when I worked driving Miss Daisy
hmm.
merch, I would always call it driving me crazy because there was always something that would happen. Like the bank would be short or we'd be out of bags. And there was one time like somebody fainted 10 minutes before the show and they had to pull them out into the lobby. And the Golden has a very small box office lobby.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then an ambulance came. And so that things I've witnessed, I will never forget that I was not there for this. There was one person who I did merch with who, like, of course, this happened to them. And of course, somebody gave him a free ticket to Book of Mormon. And of course, like many mystical, wonderful things happened. There, I think it's kind of known that when Grace was on Broadway with Ed Asner, Michael Shannon's real life wife, and Paul Rudd, somebody in the mezzanine vomited into the orchestra.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so I've heard of that. I've also heard of, actors talking about how people would bring food and all that. Like last time I
We
saw
had a
it,
lot of problems in Fiddler with people recording the show.
yeah, again, it's on
And
YouTube.
right. But
Tutorial.
there would be like bright lights. And then like we would try to tell people like, hey, can you get someone to go out there? And it's just such a big theater that it would be hard to like translate the message from like backstage to front of house.
Well,
And
it's interesting. So with Take Me Out,
yeah.
they have those yonder bags
Oh.
because there's male nudity in it. And
Oh.
you know, there are people who see shows because there's a well-known person in the show. And if
Right.
that's the case, they'll, and a large majority of the time, at least in my experience or my opinion, is that, let's say, people who are going to see Hugh Jackman on Broadway
Right.
probably aren't your necessary everyday theater goer like we are.
Right.
It might be somebody who's like a huge fan of Wolverine and they get to go see Wolverine on Broadway, but they don't know anything about theater or theater etiquette. So, they're not going to know how to behave, and they might take photos and shit during a show. So I'm
Right.
sitting next to this woman who's actually an actress, and she and I were having a conversation about these yonder bags. And I'm also like probably 30 years younger than she is. And
Uh-huh.
she was kind of going off a little bit, not in a bad way, but like in a deep discussion about how
Mhm.
she thinks that these yonder bags are making theater goers, like dumbing them down. And she's like, you don't think people are going to turn off their phones, and it's making them seem this way and that way. And I was like,
No, I don't.
I was kind
Actually.
of like, I don't think that's necessarily a thing, because
Yeah.
even people who do see, there's people who take photos and videos and record things, and I was trying to explain that, but she was just very like with her opinion. And ironically, in the honor bag, somebody's phone still went off.
Whoa.
I tell you, 99% of the time I see a show, there's always a phone going off. I don't know if it's me or whatever.
No, it's just always the case. Yeah. I
I
mean,
will say though, I went to see, the last time I saw Moulin Rouge, I want to take myself out for my birthday, like the day after my birthday. I went to a matinee and there was a dog there, and the dog was so well behaved too. I was
uh,
like, nice. And some people were like, oh, there's a dog. I was like, I think that dog will be fine. And it was.
oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any
Yeah.
other top going experiences in your theater?
Um, well, I will say that just popped into my head. I
Mhm.
skipped my homecoming in high school to see Mandy Patinkin in concert,
Can I
which
make you super jealous?
really goes to show you.
Yeah,
You get it.
I am friends with the ticket taker at the Barrymore. So he got me in for free for an evening with Patti LuPone and Mandy Patinkin. And I had
Yeah,
really great seats, but also I saw it on a matinee, so it technically wasn't an evening.
I saw that one from a box,
Mhm.
um, and just that was a top going theater experience for me, also for sure. When
Yeah.
they did the whole carousel sequence together, oh, just the two of them doing carousel, like who they are and at their age was just like so powerful.
Mhm.
Um, anyway, yeah, yeah, it's either Shakespeare or Mandy Patinkin for me, I think.
Wow. How many times have you watched This Sunday in the Park with him and what's her name? Bernadette
Just
Peters.
countless times. Yeah.
To me, he'll always be in Diego Montoya.
See, what's really funny is that's the like one man Patinkin thing I've no. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Yeah,
I was
of
gonna
course.
say, you of all people not seeing The Princess Bride is kind of shocking to me. If you
Oh,
haven't
my
seen it.
gorgeous. How dare they? Um, no, of course I've seen that. Well, I just I was thinking of Evita,
Oh,
is his
I
other
I haven't seen Evita. I also was not born when it was out, and maybe I'll get a New York Public Library card and just go to Lincoln Center and watch it.
yeah, the other time he played a Latinx character that he probably shouldn't have, but um
He would probably have been a very good Tevye.
I thought about that all the time. Yeah, not certainly wouldn't want him to take over from Danny because Danny was the
Yeah.
absolute goat.
I
But
will
I was
say
like,
though, I
wow,
know
that
there
he's
was
never
like,
done it.
sorry, I'm talking over you. Go ahead.
No. I was just saying it is wild that he's never done it. I mean, he is Tevye. He's like a crazy guy who talks to God and like
Mhm.
and and
Yeah.
speaks in English. And
And that Stars in the House marathon that they did, he and his wife, who are like huge on TikTok now, they
Brody.
were talking, and then he started to sing Somewhere Over the Rainbow, I believe in Yiddish. And I was like, ugh, it was stunning.
Have you heard his Yiddish album?
No,
Oh, it's so good.
listen, I say I'm Jewish. I don't know a lot of Yiddish. I had to ask my grandmother in college what some Yiddish words meant for this play I did. But
Yeah, I learned a lot
did you see
of
the Fiddler in Yiddish?
I
What was
did.
that? Yeah.
I did. Loved it. We had a couple people that transferred over to that. Not transferred, but like
Yeah.
were also involved in that. And I think because I've heard that it was beautiful for everybody, but I think because I knew every word by heart,
Yeah.
going to see it, I was so emotional. I saw it with another castmate, and we were both just like puddles the entire time, I think, because it was, and also the guy who played Tevye was our Laser Wolf for a month.
Yeah.
And he was just magical, and it totally different from Danny, just a totally different experience, and just like so fun to see someone else's take. And I don't even remember. Oh, I learned a lot about Jewish culture. I learned a lot about a lot of Yiddish words during Fiddler. It was so fun to be in a primarily Jewish setting with people who were really invested in their Judaism. It was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It just reminded me, speaking of Andrew Kober, I think he tweeted something like Laser Wolf was created so this person could fly. It's gonna bother me now. I had to look at this tweet because you mentioned
Like,
Laser
what?
Wolf. And
I
I
don't
just
know
thought
what
of
it
this
means,
tweet.
but I kind of love it.
Again, this podcast is solely an Andrew Kober Stan account now.
Yeah, I guess I got to meet him now. He doesn't even know who I am.
Maybe he does. I don't know.
Yes,
Laser
yeah.
Wolf walked so Borat could run.
Yeah,
This tweet is basically for nobody.
that's really funny. It's for me and you.
Yes.
Um,
Well, I don't have a Twitter, and if I did, I would definitely have said.
well, you can see from my use of all social media that I'm a real frequent poster.
Well, I mean, I do have the reading series Twitter access account, but I did not run our social media. I mean, I
really?
posted Instagram stories, but I never like posted any because in rehearsal you pique people's interest.
Totally.
So, any other top goings? Mostly Shakespeare in the Park and Mandy Patinkin.
Yeah. I mean, I could go on and on. I mean, I everything's top going for me. But
That's the point of this podcast is to like geek out about theater. Well, okay. So you said your first Broadway show was South Pacific.
Yep.
And I saw that production 6 times. My dream is to play Nellie Forbush one day.
Oh, totally.
I love South Pacific so much. I also love, the show's definitely not without its problems, but that's also what it was back in the day. And it was just, I'm convelling over that production.
No, absolutely. I loved it.
Mm-hmm. Did you see Kelly, and did you see the original cast in it?
Well, the original cast, yeah.
I did not see Matthew Morrison. Clearly, I just don't want to see him in anything other than Hairspray on Broadway.
He was great.
Because I missed him in Piazza too, which is my all-time favorite musical.
Oh, I've only ever seen the recorded version with Aaron Lazar, which is also really good.
Yeah. I saw that on Broadway 4 times. It's it's my favorite. And that was when I was a freshman in college. We had to take, as a part of like the theater major, we had to do tech classes, and the professor for that, who was also my acting professor, his class he actually took backstage to the Vivian Beaumont, and that's when Light in the Piazza was on Broadway, so I got to stand on the stage. And then this girl who was my scene partner at one point in acting class spilled Red Bull on the stage.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
Like, how dare you? It's Light in the Piazza. This is the Vivian Beaumont. But yeah, it was.
Yeah, we had to like rope people off and not let them on the stage in Fiddler because of all the things that were getting broken.
Oh no, I remember, because we would have to exit through the stage door at night.
Yeah, you remember that? Yeah. Yeah,
but it was yelled at by the stage door person. Like when the show kind of first started, they're like, "What are you?" I was like, "I'm merch." They're like, "You can't come in this way. You have to go in through the front." It was like, "Oh, okay, nobody told me."
Yeah.
So at the beginning of our shifts, we would go in through the front, but then we would exit through the theater.
Well, that makes
through the stage door.
Yeah, but it was just really cool that was the first. I mean, that was the whole same team, same, Bart, the lighting designer, the sound designer, Scott, everybody, who did Fiddler. And so to like be like, this is my first role in a Broadway show, had that little, nice full circle moment, was really special. Yeah. Any
other things before we move on to the next list?
No.
Okay. Right. Next list, other than Sweeney Todd.
Yeah.
Dream roles.
Dream roles. Well, I mean, yeah, Sweeney Todd is definitely up there.
Mhm.
It was one of the things that kind of got me into like, oh, this type of voice and this type of thing is in musical theater. Um, and I mean, I would love to do Sunday in the Park. I feel like this is every like guy in musical theater wants to do George and Sweeney, but um, yeah, uh,
Solely based on some of the podcasts I've done, it's up there.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I think like my like real dream roles are all the ones I'll get to do in like 30 years. Like I want to be in Death of a Salesman.
Unless you do it regionally, like your friend Emily as the drowsy
Right.
chaperone.
I don't know if you can get away with playing Willie Loman until you're kind of
Yes. Well, maybe
sounds
if it was a college production,
sure.
right? Put on,
Yeah.
I had to put on old lady makeup and like gray in my hair when I was 21, so I got
Well,
it.
I'll go back to do a college production of of that. But I want to play like some of the big Shakespeare bad guys. Like I want to do Iago.
You can still you can do at this age.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
see, speaking of Death of a Salesman, did you see the production they did with Philip Seymour Hoffman?
Oh, I don't remember what it might have been like the year. I think it was the year I moved here. I,
Mm.
it was like 2013 maybe. So I don't think I was able to see it. But no, I really wanted to. I love that.
I'm going to make everyone who listens jealous because I am friends with the ticket taker at that theater.
Yeah.
He's my babushk. Um, they didn't have merch, but I have
Oh.
a poster from that show.
Wow.
And I also have a pin that says like no phones or something.
Mm.
And I think he like gave me another like opening night gift for it. It's somewhere probably in like a bag of Broadway stuff I have.
Yeah.
I have a bag of bunch of window cards that I don't even know what I have. Then I'll look, I'm like, oh, I didn't realize I had this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I have Death of a Salesman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I could have seen it. It was amazing, right?
It was fantastic. I will say, like, that was when Andrew Garfield made his Broadway debut.
Right.
And I love Andrew Garfield. I've been a fan of him since he did this movie called Boy A, which he won an Orange BAFTA for. So when I was in college, I worked at this theater at my school called Schimmel. And that's where they did inside the Actors Studio.
Cool.
And for a bit of time, they had the Tribeca Film Festival. So one of the films that was there was this movie called Boy A. And I was like, who is this person? He's very attractive. So I did my internet Google search of him. I was like, oh, cool. He played Romeo. He was this. So when they announced him as Spider-Man, my reaction literally was like, oh my God, it's the guy from Boy A.
Yeah.
So yeah, when he did it on Broadway, I was kind of like, I don't know if I like him in the show. And then second act, I'm like, I'm good. He's great.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bit of a weird casting. Like, the character's normally like captain of the football team kind of guy.
Yeah.
But I think that probably is what made it really interesting that he played it. Kind of like when John Malkovich did it in the movie.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I wish I could have seen it. I thought he's such a great actor. I've never seen him live on stage, but
Yeah. Angels in America, he was
yeah,
just,
yeah.
there was no way that he was not going to win that Tony Award.
Wow. I wish
The entire production in that cast was just incredible.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I just feel like I was missing something by not seeing it live, but I still loved it watching it on the recording.
Well, now you just have to make sure. That's why I made sure I bought myself a ticket to see The Music Man in 2019, because I didn't want the same thing to happen that happened with Hello Dolly, where I didn't see Bette Midler. So I was like, I need to buy a ticket. I don't care where I'm sitting. I know that theater very well from doing merch at Mamma Mia. Like, even if I'm all the way off on the side, I think the seat is fine. People are like, it's horrible. I'm like, well, at least I'm in the building.
That's how I
So
totally.
yeah. So I made sure but there's like certain things where I'm just like, I know I need to see this, because if I don't, then I'll regret it. So that's how I felt about when I saw Once, which,
Yeah.
I tell the story every time anybody comes on the podcast about Once, but I love Steve Kazee. I've been a fan of his since I saw him in Spam-A-Lot. And I got one of those like mailers in the mail. And I was like, let me just get a ticket for this, because if I don't, I will never see it. And I did something at intermission that I've never done before, and I haven't done it since. And I went to the box office and I got myself a ticket to see the show again before even seeing the second act.
Wow.
So yeah, but that's an example of like, I just need to see it or else like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I do need to see Music Man. When I was in junior year of high school, I did Oklahoma for high school,
Mhm.
and that was, again, I didn't know really how to act, so my way to act was just to watch somebody else do it and copy everything they did. So I did a very good, for high school, shot for shot recreation of Hugh Jackman in Oklahoma.
Nice.
So I've always
You
been
play Curly?
yeah, I've always been a huge Hugh Jackman in musicals proponent.
The only time I ever saw him on stage was when he did The River.
Oh yeah, I didn't get to see that.
I saw it twice actually. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, he seems like the real deal as far as just a nice guy who also works really hard and is a genuinely good actor who also just happens to be like handsome and
house staff talk about, they know things, nothing but nice things about him. He apparently like once a week buys scratch off tickets, like lottery tickets for front of house staff. Like nothing but nice things have been said about Hugh Jackman.
I once went to a reading of a new musical downtown, and he, I don't know. Oh, I do know why he was there, because Kay Alisettle was in it.
Mhm.
And he rode in on his scooter and he just closed it up. And the only thing I remember is that he held open the elevator door for me and was like, "Come on in." And I was like, Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then we watched a musical together.
That's awesome. Maybe one of your dream roles is to be in a musical with Hugh Jackman.
Sure. I don't know what I would do in that musical, but
you can be in the ensemble,
of course. Yeah.
Fine. I think actors at this point just want to work.
Absolutely.
Even if you were like a lead. Look at Jessica Lee Goldwyn, who took over as Nini. I really want to see her as Nini. So that's why I'm like itching to go back to Moulin Rouge.
Yep.
And I also want to see like the majority of the rest of the cast before they leave. But she was in a chorus line. She played Val, and then she played Cassie, and then she went in. I did not see the show, but she went into Tuck Everlasting, and I think she was in the ensemble.
Yeah.
Stuff like that happens. So any other dream roles that we have? I think we left off at Iago.
I mean, some of my big like I feel like I'm really on this boring guy track, but like I want to be like Javert in Les Mis. That would be a dream role.
Mhm.
You know what I was obsessed with that I'm so glad it's coming back? Did you see Girl from the North Country?
Yes.
I love that show so much, and I want to play Nick, the dad, someday.
Give yourself 40 years. No, that's too old. Give yourself 20. I just aged you so much.
20 or 30 years, or the Mark Kudish part in like 15.
Yeah. That was the last show I saw before the pandemic hit.
Me too. I saw it like March 9th or 10th. Preview.
Yeah. I didn't like it.
It's been like I've heard that from a lot of people. You're wrong. Objectively, it's incredible.
Well, okay, here's my thing. Again, this is actors working their asses off. And I say this also as somebody who fucking loves the musical Once. It is one of the two shows that has a very deep, special place in my heart.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people, and I was not a fan of In the Heights, and I get a lot of shit for it.
Yeah.
And I think, and it was funny, I was talking to somebody about it last night too, when I mentioned something and they were like, what? And I was like, have you seen this? And they said no. And I said, okay. And I said to them, I think at this point, like, I don't judge what people like and they don't like, because there are so many things that I've seen and liked that people didn't. And, it's vice versa. And everybody has like their own feelings of stuff. And just because I didn't like something doesn't mean that the next person, Girl from the North Country just didn't speak to me in the way that everybody else spoken to. And my ex-work husband said it the best, where he says, it's like taking Death of a Salesman and staging it like the musical Once. And that's Girl from North Country.
And that sounds like my dream.
Like, that was perfect.
I bet you I'd be like, put me in that. That's what I want to do.
I mean, I will say though, that guy who plays the boxer, Austin something, even Mare Wedding, what's her last name?
Winningham
Yeah. I was like, if she doesn't win a Tony for this show, I mean, they were,
remark.
like I said, the cast was incredible. Just the show itself was not for me.
That's fine. Yeah, that makes sense. And I've heard that from a lot of people. I
Yeah.
know people who have loved it and people who have felt the same way. And yeah,
Mhm.
like you said, I think everybody enjoyed some aspect of it, either a performance or something. But yeah, it's a very, I mean, it's
It's not a
a
happy
tough show.
show.
It's
Yeah.
heavy. It's long and it's heavy. But
Mhm.
that's kind of where I live.
Just like, is there any like happy roles you want to play?
Oh wow. Huh. There you go.
Yeah.
Um,
I just realized because both of your Broadway shows, very not happy endings.
yeah, I don't know what that's about. I definitely like
Well, I
doing
mean, you did do Pride and Prejudice,
Mhm.
that's happy, and Drowsy
Did that.
Chaperone.
I would say that for 90% of the time, he's not a very happy guy.
Well, I
Uh,
said the show, not
but the
him.
show is happy. Yeah.
Yeah.
As a chaperone. I think whenever I get to
And
do
Fyedka's not a sad person. It's just the show itself
the
was,
show is very sad. Yeah. I mean, there are I have wanted to, I've auditioned for it so many times. I want to play the Dysquith family in Gentleman's Guide. I love Gentleman's Guide so much, and all those
I think
roles
it's
are so
another
fun.
brilliant show.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a ton of like big, broad musical theater stuff that I just love.
Mhm,
Like I would love to be in the producers.
mhm. As
Um,
which character though?
I know I'm kind of in between. I think personality wise, I'm more of a Leo, but I
Mhm,
think in like 20 years, I might be able to play
mhm.
Max.
I just thought of something that I've never asked anybody before.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
What female role or roles would you want to play?
Ooh. Um, I mean, I kept teasing Emily about this because I genuinely think I would be very funny as the chaperone in the Drowsy Chaperone.
I
Like,
think next time you do a cabaret, because you've been a part of the cabarets, like parts I didn't get, you should
yeah.
just sing the Drowsy Chaperone.
I that I didn't make that connection, and thank you because yes, I will. But yeah, it's just such a fun part, and I think there is totally a world in which it could be. I mean, either a guy in drag or just a guy,
Yeah.
and it could be kind of funny. But yeah, that would be up there. I would love to play Mrs. Lovett. I could do a schizophrenic Sweeney Todd and play both.
Listen, did
Um,
you see Alan Cummings' Macbeth?
yes. Oh my God. Obsessed with that.
I
Yeah.
have to tell you, I loved his interpretation of Lady Macker's, how she used her sexuality, because you
Yeah.
don't really see it that often played that way. And I thought that was really interesting.
I'm such a fan of his. I think
Yeah.
he's a great actor. Wow, that's a good question. I got to put some thought into that because there's definitely parts.
Mhm.
I mean, I always wanted to do the Brian, what's his name? Brian Bedford. He passed away, but he did Importance of Being Earnest.
Mhm.
Um, in college, I did the lady, what's her name? Lady Bracknell scene.
I don't
um,
know the importance of being earnest that
oh,
well, but I know it's more of a you show, but I do know what you're talking about. I know that
yeah,
Santino was in it. Like I know him,
yeah.
personally, but Santino Fontana, I know did that on Broadway.
Another great actor.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, he's so great in Maisel this season. Do you watch it? Have you
I
watched
do, but
it?
I haven't watched this recent season. So
I
cool.
also love Luke Kirby, who plays Lenny Bruce. He did this movie 10 years ago called Take This Waltz. So I have referred to him as the hot guy from Take This Waltz. But the last episode of this season, if he does not win an Emmy Award for it, I'm going to be so pissed off
The
because,
first season that he's in, I
yeah.
was just like,
Well, he won an Emmy for it.
oh, I didn't know that. I was like, how are you doing this? You are this person. And then I just saw him in that movie where he plays Ted Bundy. And when I saw that casting, I was like, he doesn't
Yeah.
look or sound like Ted Bundy. And then the same thing, the minute he came on screen, I was like, oh my God, that's Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
Like he is a
I didn't see it because
transformation.
like the whole Ted Bundy thing creeps me out because I watched that movie with Zac Efron where he played Ted Bundy, and I'm still,
Uh,
you know what, like really So, and I say this because I can't look at him anymore, is Sebastian Stan in that movie Fresh.
I haven't
With
seen Fresh.
I've seen parts. I'm not a horror fan, but I kind of fast forwarded through it. It's with him and Daisy Edgar Jones, who is in Normal People. And yeah, it's ugh, he creeps me out so much in it.
Isn't that funny when you see somebody and you can't really separate them from
I can't do it anymore. I'm just so
Yeah.
creeped out by him in that movie.
Yeah,
Would you
I was
say?
really impressed by Zac Efron. I didn't know he was that good
Yeah.
of an actor, and I thought he was really good in that. I mean, the movie
Yeah.
a little problematic. You're kind of like idolizing this terrible man and
Yeah.
making him the handsome Zac Efron, but he was really good as far as
Yeah.
like acting goes.
Well, I think that was the point, because Ted Bundy in life apparently was like very good looking, charismatic, and all that stuff. So that's probably, and Lily Collins' character like believed all of this stuff, and she was finding out, and that's how she became an alcoholic. And, and he had all these like legions of women who loved him. Now we're talking about serial killers, but yeah.
It's another dream role. I would love
Yeah.
to be one of the serial killers on Mindhunter. Did you ever watch that?
No, I know it's Jonathan Groff, and who doesn't love Jay?
Yeah.
You know what I found out the other day that like kind of upset me, but it didn't, but it kind of blew my mind a little bit. And I'm still like processing my feelings. They share a birthday and they're the same age. It's Keira Knightley and Jonathan Groff. They're both 37. And I just like I can't like wrap, like it hurts my brain. I
Well,
don't
they're
know
both
why.
25 in my head.
Yeah, I also fucking love Keira Knightley. I have a very good friend
Absolutely.
of mine who I used to do merch with. He used to be a Drama Desk nominee or a voter, so he would get free tickets to things, and he took me to see Therese Raquin because he knows I love Keira Knightley. And he also took me to see Mackinac because Rebecca Hall was in that, and he also knows I love Rebecca Hall. And now she's
Wow.
married to her co-star Morgan Spector.
That was one of the first things I auditioned for in New York and
Oh,
didn't get it.
really? Mackinac?
Yeah.
Oh, well, sorry.
No, I mean,
It was a very odd show, but I think that was the point of it too.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but anyway, getting back to Luke Kirby, he did a play at the Park Avenue Armory called Judgment Day, and I got to see him in that too. And when I went there, they're like, "Yeah, we updated your seat," and I was like, "Thanks, awesome," because I was going to sit like all the way up, and they moved me closer. Just I don't know why, but there we go.
Wow.
Anyway, so just like really depressing dream roles. That's it.
Really
Like,
depressing
no
dream
happy
roles,
men.
serial
Oh yeah,
killers.
we were talking about female roles, drowsy shot. Maybe you want to play happy females. Maybe that's the just what.
Yeah, I would love to do Tootsie. That'd be fun.
Oh my, I
'Cause
fucking
there's
love Tootsie. Well,
both.
that's a male playing a female.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Would you want to play Tootsie, Dorothy? That
Yeah.
character? Yeah.
Totally.
My male roles are Freddie Benson in Dirty Rotten Scoundrels
Oh, yeah.
and Claude and Hare.
Oh, that's a good one.
Those would be my two male roles.
What are your dream roles for you?
Oh, well, Clara and Piazza, because clearly that will be a thing. And Nellie Forbush
Yeah,
in
right.
South Pacific, and Claire in Proof.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And my God, why can't I think of the name in The Ferryman?
I don't know, but that's another dream role of mine too.
Yeah. I saw that show twice, and it's one of my favorite things I've ever seen on Broadway.
Me too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a dark 3-hour long play.
Oh my, it's funny too. So the first time I saw it, I saw it with a guy friend, and we said rear left orchestra, and the ending happened, and we were like, oh. And then I bought myself a ticket to see it again, even closer. And I knew what was going to happen, but I was still like shocked about it. Caitlin Carney.
Yep.
Yeah. I've been working on my very bad Irish accent in preparation of one day playing that part.
Oh, what a great show. Yeah. Good part.
Well, it's funny too, because when I was in London 5 years ago, it was actually playing in London. And I was like, I know this is coming to Broadway, so I don't want to see it. And it wasn't even announced, but I'm like, this show's going to come to Broadway, and it did. So with the cast too, which was great.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw it with that cast, and then I saw it with Brian Darcy James and the new people, and it was really good both times.
I did not see the new cast, but anything with Brian Darcy James is great.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but that show is just, and Lauren Donnelly, who played Caitlin Carney, her partner is Chaz Butterworth, and she was also in The River with Hugh Jackman, which was a Chaz. Yeah, so I saw her in that, and now she's on this HBO show that they had the first half of the season called The Nevers, which I watched because she was in it, and Tom Riley, who was in Arcadia. If I see somebody in a show and I like them, then I kind of like follow their careers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so he's in that, and yeah, that show ended up being weird, but I'm still waiting for like the other half of the season to come out.
It started. It looks good. I haven't seen it.
And then I found out it's a Joss Whedon show, so now I'm kind of like, ooh.
Right. Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, are we ready for our actor studio question?
Ooh, I think so.
Okay. Are you ready?
I think so.
This is a questionnaire by Bernard. I can never remember who the person is who originated this. Okay.
I haven't seen him do that in a long time, but he's always like, yes, this is a thing by Bernard Sasson. And he like
remember sitting. So I used to usher at this theater. That's how I worked there. And I also I did a lot of things at that theater. Such like house manager, did like the VIP seats for Actors Studio. So they had Conan O'Brien come on to do an episode, and everybody front of house knew that like Conan O'Brien is like, I love him. So they stuck me with the MFA students to be like a seat filler. And they did a song for Conan, and James Lipton was going, me, 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 me. And Conan goes, it's always about you, 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 you.
Yeah. That's really funny.
Yeah. But I will say, I don't remember his Actors Studio that well, but I remember that Ray Fiennes had a really good Q&A. Like his was excellent. Okay. What is your favorite word?
Is it cheesy to say places?
No.
Like when
nothing is cheesy with this. I always find it very interesting to see what people are going to say.
Yeah. Especially after not being in a show for our reading being the last like acting I think I did.
You know what? Let's think of it this way. Like you just had the best experience working on our reading that nothing could top it. So you're just like, I just need to bow out. Like nothing is going to top this moment.
That's what I was
working with Emily Skinner as Amanda.
It actually was so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just to have them say places for the first time and be like, oh my God, we're about to do a show in front of people was just like, we all had a moment of just feeling really excited and grateful.
Great. What is your least favorite word?
Billionaires.
I feel like that's something we can really dive into, but we're not going to. What turns you on?
I think just passion, like people who care about, I don't care if it's theater or if somebody has some job I don't care about, but if they're interested in it, or not their job or just whatever their passion is. I don't know. I just think people who are passionate about, especially in theater. I mean, most people like I was saying, the entire cast of Glass Menagerie just like loved being there, loved doing that play, loved being with each other. And that was one of the most exciting environments I've ever been in. And then I have done other projects where it's like, especially on TV sometimes, like I've slotted into some shows that have been around for a while, and those people just are kind of like getting their paycheck. And of course, it's not always true, but it can be. And just like,
I just realized, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no.
I'm waiting for the moment that you are on SVU. And so maybe you end up being the murderer, and that leads into your role of.
I'm waiting for that as well. I did play a serial killer on Elementary. I murdered.
Oh, that's right. They found you out because of the wine.
Because of the wine. I'd poisoned pigs and women. Uh, anyway, yeah, so I don't know. I think, yeah, passion, just caring about stuff. I think, I mean, I feel like people say this on Instagram and stuff all the time, but it's just, we are kind of in a period where it's cool to not try and not care. And I think a lot of, when especially young actors try to show up to something being like the cool person. And I just don't care. I want someone to be like nerdy about acting and
Yeah.
excited to be there,
Yeah. What turns you off?
Well, I guess then the opposite of that, like apathy, just people who don't care, and who do, yeah, people who think it's cool to just kind of, and I don't even mean like work hard or something. Like I obviously I try to work hard at what I do, but I just mean like caring about, my best friend Emily, who we've been talking about, who is the Drowsy Chaperone. We are exact opposites, and she would say this to you as well. Like, she was not a good student, but she's a remarkable actor, and I was an incredible student, and I'm I'm an okay actor too. And we both come at it from the exact
Yeah.
opposite place, but she really cares about it. She just like, that's not, the intellectual side of it is not her way in, and she's really smart. It's just, that
Well,
thing
there's
is not.
also, I think there's a thing where people can be book smart and people can be social smart.
Exactly.
And I think for me, like, I'm not book smart, but I'm very social smart, which
Oh.
leads people to be like, you're so smart. I'm like, it's mostly just common sense.
Oh, wow. See,
So,
I I would assume you were both, but yeah, so that makes
thank
sense.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, and I, yeah, so it doesn't have to mean like caring about, getting the assignment done or working a certain way, but just, yeah, caring. So
What is your favorite curse word?
damn it. God damn it.
Is that
Yeah,
really a curse word though? Okay.
I guess
What
so. I don't know. A lot of people don't like God damn it.
people who love Jesus.
Right. But I don't know. I guess, like, yeah, damn you to hell. I think there's a lot of fun with
There's a
dams.
lot of great one. Mine is fuck. It's just great and easy,
Fuck is
simple.
great.
And
Yeah.
Matt Damon said it best because you can say it in so many different ways too,
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Or like
Yeah.
fuck that shit. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Podcast is about Kober, your friend Emily, and cursing.
Right.
This whole podcast is about, and you playing a serial killer.
Like a serial killer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
Uh, what sound or noise do you love?
When I was a kid, we used to go to Florida all the time, but we would drive there.
From
And
Michigan?
to Florida was 24
Ooh.
hours, and my dad would do it straight through. We wouldn't stop. So we would all, my mom,
Not
sister,
even
and
to pee?
well, sure, to pee, but I
Okay.
mean, not at a hotel. So we would all just lay back in our seats and sleep while my dad pounded coffee and just drove all the way. But there's something about, we would always pack the car the night before and then get up at like 3 a.m. And then, us kids would go back to sleep. And something about like being in the car in the early morning, especially if there's like light rain on the roof, that's my favorite. I still get it now. Like sometimes when I have to be up early and drive somewhere, even though I'm not going on a trip, I'll just kind of hear that sound and get excited. I don't know.
You know what's weird? I kind of had something similar with the smell yesterday. Not like a smell I love, but I've always said I've had 9 lives with jobs. And like right after college, I got a job at a hedge fund as a
Oh, wow.
receptionist at the Hearst building on Park
Yeah.
Avenue. So if you're heading south on Park Avenue, there's that building, and right behind it is the huge MetLife building.
Yeah, I know what you're
So
talking about.
I was in that area yesterday and I was walking by it, and this smell just hit me and it brought me back to when I used to work there.
Don't they say that smell is like the strongest memory associator or something?
I think so. It reminds me of this movie called Someone Like You with Hugh Jackman and Ashley Judd, and she's in a relationship with Greg Kinnear and he dumps her. And it's a kooky movie where she has this like fantasy that she goes to this doctor and she's saying she wants something removed from her nose because this specific scent reminds her of Greg Kinnear's character. And she's like, so I was just thinking, if you can remove this and I can't smell, it'll give me some sense of normalcy to have a normal life. So I don't have to smell this smell anymore to remind me of this guy who broke my heart.
Jeez.
Yeah.
It's like what's that movie with Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet? It's like a light
Oh,
version
Eternal
of
Sunshine of a Spotless Mind. I'm sure that's getting turned into a stage show at some point.
Oh, sure. That
Yeah.
would work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
What
what were we
sound or
talking?
noise? Oh, should we continue on?
Yeah.
What sound or noise do you hate?
I feel like everybody says this, but at my old apartment, I used to live right at an intersection, and anytime like trucks would stop, their brakes would just like all the way to the and my room was the front window, so I just feel like all night I would just hear large trucks squealing to a stop, and that's my least favorite sound.
And now you just have peacefulness where you are.
Because I have one window facing the back of the building. Yes.
Yeah. Well, also like where you're located, it's very
It's
calm.
great. It's so great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful over there. What profession other than yours would you like to attempt? Which I feel like we've already spoken about, but
Yeah. Well, either be in an orchestra or be a music director.
not what I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to say
Oh.
flipping houses.
Oh, see, I don't think I could do that for a career. It's too much for me.
Can you still play the French horn?
No, I played for 7 years. I was first chair. I was really good, for high school. But then I got braces, and then I was starting to take acting so seriously that I kind of, when I got my
you
braces,
should like start doing it, and you can play in some like Broadway orchestra pits.
hey, I mean, that would,
And that show's not going anywhere.
people, that's the problem with that, is like, I would love to be a music director, but people do that. People go to college for 10 years to do that. Anyway, but yeah,
Well,
I
I'm gonna
should
say this.
back up.
You know plenty of actors, and you can just start slowly building something, saying like, "Hey, I want to start musical directing." Holler at a boy, and
I
see.
can't play the piano, so
Then I have nothing for you. Okay. What profession would you not like to attempt?
oh, I feel like I've thought about this. I can't. I think, oh yeah, like Wall Street or anything in finance.
Mhm.
That just sounds terrible.
Unless it was like a musical or a stage play,
Mm,
then you would be fine with that. Like Enron, I have no idea.
yeah, only if I was the bad guy. If I
Yeah.
if I was like,
So like moving forward in your career, you're only allowed to play the bad guys.
honestly, I would love that. Pigeonhole me into that. Tell everyone I'm fine
Like
with
one
it.
of the nicest guys you will ever meet, and he plays such an asshole.
Oh, hey, I'm taking that as a compliment.
Well, they always say that like the nicest people are always like the best ones to play like the bitches or like the really horrible humans.
You feel I just like, I don't get angry very often in my real life, but I'm great at being angry on stage.
I get that. I think Benjamin Walker said it best when he was playing Patrick Bateman in
Hmm.
he was doing, I think, an interview with like Paul Wontorek, and he was like, I think we all have a little inner Patrick Bateman in us.
For sure.
And finally,
Hmm.
if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
The master class with Laurence Olivier starts in 5 minutes.
And these are your students. Thank you. That was my really bad James Lipton.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a religious person, but if I'm just taking it face value and playing the game, then yes, that's what I would want.
Well, you know what's interesting is that I can't remember, because there have been times where he's had people on the show who aren't religious and don't believe in that stuff, and he would ask them that question in a particular way, but I don't remember how he asked it.
Yeah, I don't remember him ever doing that. I mean, obviously he did.
Yeah,
I just, off the top of my
many works. But I remember like watching Inside the Actor Studio when I was younger, and I remember like sitting in a class in high school doing the questionnaire to somebody. So it's always been a thing. And
Oh, I love the questionnaire. Yeah. I've never actually thought about my answers really until.
Well, it's funny because the questionnaire started because when I first started the podcast, I mean, I didn't know like any Broadway people, this reading stuff definitely has helped knowing a lot of people and having like everyone's emails, but
How many did you do all told?
18.
Wow, that is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry I fell off the face of the earth and didn't reach out to do any more.
Oh, it's
But now
okay. I mean, I also
you
emailed you
know that
about doing a cabaret, which you never responded to anyways. So it's fine.
you did?
Mhm.
Oh, that was in my that must have been in my I'm not doing this anymore phase. I'm
No,
sorry.
that was like September. And then I think when we tried to do the last one, it's not that big of a deal.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, if you want to
Now
do
you
another one,
know.
I'll do it. You
I
have it
would,
on
okay,
record.
I would love to. The problem is it's expensive.
Oh, sure.
It's a matter of getting people to do the cabaret, like finding
Uh-huh.
performers. And it's
Yeah,
also a matter of getting people to come to the show
sure.
or like buying tickets. So that's kind of where the problem lies.
I see.
And we did it for the Actors Fund too. So, I mean, it was, people were gracious enough to donate their time. And I mean, we had 6 performers and 5 out of the 6 actually did readings with us. And one of them I met at a bar and I asked them to do the cabaret. And they said yes.
Oh,
So that's how, and that's what their introduction was. I'm like, this person I met at a bar and they said yes to doing this cabaret. Welcome them to the stage.
oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, if you do another, you have it on authority here that I will respond to your email
Yeah. You also have to teach me how to do a time step at some point.
on stage in front of everybody.
Oh my
Okay.
God, no. I
I hear.
sang in this cabaret and I just remember saying to myself during the song, I sound really nervous. I have so much vibrato. I said the word green and I'm wearing green.
Vibrato is good. Green is good.
I realized like why I can't watch myself sing the song. And I realized why it's because I know I sound better than that.
Hmm.
I just, ugh, I
I
can't.
mean, I feel that way 100% of the time. Like,
Mhm.
I don't think I've ever watched something and been like, I nailed that 100%.
I also like didn't know what I was doing. I was like swaying with the mic as yeah,
But
it
do
was
you
fine.
feel like, and I don't know, like, well, how many cabarets you do on the regular, but I feel like everything I've done lately, I've been like, oh, right.
Yeah. I
I
like
have to
how when
remind
everyone's
myself
like,
how to be the
it's like,
person.
what do you think? They go, you were a great host.
Is it somebody just said something like that to me, like, oh, well, I tapped and I roller skated in the show, and every time people are like, you're so good on the roller skates. And I was like, okay, but I rolled down onto the stage of the roller skates. I spent probably like 24 hours of my life learning that tap number.
Mhm.
Didn't get
Yeah.
a lot of compliments on
Well, I
that.
think I also just told people, I'm like, oh my God, my singing. No, but
Oh, it is tough when you set
yeah.
people's expectation up like that and then they meet it and you're like, well, but I actually didn't want you to.
Yeah. No, I think it's mostly, it was really nice because it's mostly like my very close friends who I go like a million miles a minute with them and I do a majority of the talking when I'm with my friends, which always I'm like, why am I talking so much? Tell me about your life. And they're like, there's nothing to say.
Uh,
Like, great. But no, I think my mom, she's like, I haven't stopped listening to it. And then I sent a clip to like my dad's side of the family and they all and my dad like flipped out with excitement. So that I think that was the most important to me. Like, you know, my 2 best friends were there. Like one of them was the co-producer, my other friend like came. And so I literally have like 2 friends that I hang out with and they have other friends. So I spend a large majority of my time by myself in my apartment, or just walking around the city because why not? But yeah, so those are the people who like it's more important to me what they think, you know. And
of
when I
course.
like ran it during tech, everyone's like, that was great. And I was like, Kober, because that was good. And I said, you were the only one I was nervous about. I really wasn't, but it's fine.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I
no,
feel
I
like
would love to do another one, but we'll see what happens in a couple of
okay.
months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be in Florida from April 25th to June 26th.
Wow, that's a long run of Hood.
Of Hood. Well, half of that's rehearsal, but yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, still, that's a long.
A nice little run for sure.
Make sure you wear your sunscreen.
I know. I know.
Can you say who else is in the cast, or are you not allowed to?
I don't know actually.
You can tell me off podcast.
Yeah, I'll tell
You
you
can stay
because
on once I stop
well,
recording.
they're just I just found out like days that I got my official contract. So I think they're
Great.
doing all of that right now.
Yeah.
So I don't actually know 100% for sure who's doing it from the cast that I worked with. I think it's most of the same people. It's a really like young. Well, yeah, the idea I think is that it's kind of like a college troupe putting on a production of Robin Hood. So it does take place in Robin Hood times, but it also is with the, framing device of us all being in a college troupe. So it's just like a really young, cool group of people.
That's exciting. And you're playing the bad guy, your dream.
Yeah.
All right, Nick. Well, before anything you want to ask me or final thoughts, you can say no.
Final thoughts. I don't think I have final thoughts.
Oh, I do. I always forget to ask this question, but final thoughts continue. And then I'll ask my question.
What is your question? I want to know your question.
Why is theater important? Why do you think theater is important? Majority of the time I forget to ask this question, and I always want to end the podcast with it.
Oh, I wish I had a good succinct answer to that, but
I should have put it in the email saying this is what you should also think about.
No. Well, I mean, we talked about, you made that joke about, was I like a guy who played football and then got an injury and then did this? And I really wasn't. I was like a pretty quiet, like bookish, nerdy kid who like would read in the back of the library. And I had, I had friends and stuff, but I wasn't like a popular kid. And I think that theater, I became kind of cool in high school because I was like leads in musicals, and obviously not for popularity reasons, but I just mean like it gave me my voice and my personality and my passion. And I think the only reason I'm, good with people and stuff like that now is because I got into this field. And I think that even when I've taught, even kids who don't end up going into this get a lot out of being exposed to the art form, because it is about communication. And I'm sure other people have said this on the podcast about, there's just something different when you're in a room with people doing it for real than there is. We're so filled with all these, with TikTok, with film and TV and Instagram and everything, and there's just something direct and special about being in the same space as the actors who do it. And it's so funny, I just listened to this. I keep talking about Laurence Olivier. I've been on like a real Shakespeare kick lately.
You literally mentioned him like once in this podcast. You've mentioned Andrew Kober more than anybody else. I honestly thought you were about to say, I know I mentioned this a lot. And I was like, yes, Andrew Kober.
Love of my life. I've never met you.
I can make it happen. Be like, Kober, I have somebody who wants to meet you. He was in Fiddler.
Oh, no. I don't want to meet him. I just want to talk to him all the time. No. But he said something like, he when he started the National Theater, he was like, I don't think there's any better. Gosh, what did he say? I mean, basically just like, theater is the mirror to society, and there's nothing that gets closer to like showing people who they are than the theater. And I think that's true. I think like we go through all these crazy things politically, and then we discuss them in movies and on TV and in theater. And I think like, when we talk about like arts being supported and stuff during the pandemic and all that stuff, it's like, well, I hope these people who don't want to put money towards it have never listened to any music on Spotify, have never watched a TV show, have never gone to see a play. Like this is so ingrained in everyone's life. And I don't know, I'm just rambling now, but I do think it's really important. It's changed my life, and even seeing things now, I mean, I haven't gotten tired of it. Like I go to things now and I get that excited feeling that I got when I saw Sunday in the Park at 16. Like it's just, I think it's really exciting and special.
Well, I think if you love it as much as we do, it's, I mean, like the show I'm seeing tomorrow, I'm just like, I'm seeing How I Learned to Drive first night of previews.
Oh, the two of them, boy.
Well, the show has it means a lot to me because I directed that play in college, my senior year. And I had every time it's this podcast, I always mention it. I had a really rough senior year of college, and just to try to direct a play was such a challenge And so I just have a very like special place in my heart for the show. I mean, it's about a very heavy topic, obviously, but like the whole experience of directing that. And I saw the off-Broadway revival at Second Stage like 5 or 6 times with like Norbert Leo Butz. But to me, it's very important to see it, especially because it's Mary Louise Parker and David Morse who originated the roles. And like a couple of years ago, maybe like 10 or so years ago or less, they did like a reunion with the original cast with them and like the original actors who played the Greek chorus. And I just couldn't afford it, so I didn't go. So it's a very big deal. So yeah.
Wait, that's tonight or tomorrow?
That's tomorrow.
Wow.
That's why when I emailed you, I didn't say Tuesday.
Oh, oh, that's so exciting. You have to tell me how it is. I mean, I'm sure it's great. But
I mean, I'm also seeing it again April 10th, front row, because of 30 Under 35, because I'm crazy and I bought myself a ticket to see it again before because I was like, I know I will see this show many times.
Right. And you still have 10 years to use that 30 Under 35.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm 25. Yeah. Anyway, any other final thoughts, questions, problems, concerns, life advice, fun jokes?
Boy. I don't think so. I wish I had some fun
Fun
jokes.
facts about yourself that we didn't already mention on this podcast.
I think you got a lot of it. I mean,
so we got your wanting to play bad guys and serial killers.
Yeah.
Your love of Andrew. Sorry?
My love of Nick Offerman and woodworking.
Well, that was one, but I was going to say Andrew Kober.
Right.
Yes, because this podcast is a stan account of Andrew Kober and your friend Emily.
Yes. Yeah.
And you're woodworking.
Yeah.
And you did not build your loft because there's no space to do so.
Yeah. But I did put it together. It was very complicated. So
was it from IKEA?
It was from, it's from Pottery Barn Teen. Because you can't buy an adult loft bed.
You know what's so funny? I'm very handy. I can put a lot of things together. So I have this like table that I should get rid of, this bookcase behind me, and the desk and my side table. I put that all together, and there's a handyman who works in my building, and he's like, why didn't you call me to put this together? I was like, because I'm very self-sufficient and I can put shit together. No big deal. Although he did put my my headboard on my bed, so he had that.
Yeah, that's something I take a lot of pride in. Like when my friends need something put together, I always volunteer to do it.
Yeah, I'm very weirdly handy and good, and like can be very weirdly strong when I need to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, I think my final thoughts are thank you for doing this. I think this podcast is really cool, and I've listened to a couple now, and I really enjoy it, and I feel like you engage people in a cool way, and it's impressive that you put so much together. Because, like I said, I mean, I was obviously joking about.
I know you were.
No, but even that, but also quitting acting and stuff, and like. But that reading was really important to me at the time that it came, and I think it did a lot for a lot of people by continuing to do that. And I needed the break, but I think for a lot of people it did a lot, and it's really cool that you've done all this over such a tough period of time.
Yeah. Can I just say, I don't think I was so excited when you said yes. I was like, oh my God, he said yes. It was very exciting for me. Because I knew you from doing it on Broadway, even though you studied, and I was like, we have Nick Rehberger.
So wild. That was so fun. And doing it with Erica was such a treat. She's so lovely.
And not to toot our horns or anything, but we put on a really fucking fantastic reading in such a short amount of time.
Yeah. Especially for a play that is like, very long and complicated.
And can I also just say, like, from my perspective, just working with actors who were like, yeah, let's rehearse. We'll rehearse, we'll do it, we'll everything. It was so lovely. And just that was one of the loveliest experiences that I had.
Good. Yeah.
Working on a reading, as I use air quotes, or a play using air quotes.
Whatever, put this down.
All right. Well, I'm going to end this. You can stay on even though I stopped recording. Thank you for coming. I'm going to end this now.
Thank you.
Bye.